थोड़ा डिलेड आ रहा है क्या? ओके ओके. Hello everyone. So yesterday we had open mock test, and you must have realized that how much you need to work on CSAT as well, because overall performance has not been that good. I was expecting much more from you guys, but so the conclusion is you need to work much more on your CSAT, and you cannot take it for granted as of now. We'll discuss the paper today, and you'll realize it was not at all a difficult one, but it was a conceptual paper, much like what UPSC has been asking all these years. So be it passages, be it other questions, they are not difficult. You should have gotten 100 plus with ease. There were enough number of easy questions in the paper. Without wasting much time, let us see what this first question is about. As you know, there are around 27 passages that are asked by the UPSC, and questions on the passages are like this: which of the following is logical corollary, which of the following is or are inferences of the passage, what is the crux of the passage, what is the message of the author from the passage, then what are the assumptions behind the passage. All these different questions are asked, so you have to be well versed with all these terms, right? The first passage, the question is, what is the most logical corollary of the passage? What is corollary? Corollary is basically the thing that follows. Thing that follows, or the logical next step is a corollary. Now the passage is about urbanizations or late urbanizers and early urbanizers. It says late urbanizers, which means developing countries. The passage clearly begins with who were the early urbanizers, which were developed countries definitely, and as late urbanizers, developing countries account for more than half of annual emissions and most emission growth. The author clearly states that, see, we are late urbanizers, and that is why most of the late urbanizers or developing countries, we are accounting for emission growth and annual emission. More than half of annual emissions and emission growth would be highest because we are late urbanizers and we are urbanizing fast. They cannot affordably access many of the new technologies to decarbonize quickly. The need to decarbonize quickly has been highlighted, but is implicit here that we need to decarbonize, but developing countries cannot access many of the new technology affordably because technology is getting developed in the developed country or by the private players, which is not cheap. The result is shrinking of their policy space and human rights, endangering efforts to achieve comparable levels of well-being. What is the result of all these things? Policy space has been shrinking for them, and human rights, they cannot really bother about human rights. Why? Because there is no new technology, so they have to depend on the old technologies which are not in line with human rights, which would oppress labor and all, endangering efforts to achieve comparable levels of well-being. Compared to whom? Compared to developed countries without any constraint. Such discussions are not taking place in the climate negotiations because of the way agenda is set. The complaint of the passage is about agenda being set such that these kinds of discussions are not taking place. Now, what is the corollary or the logical next step? climate change is leading to human rights violation. Is it the next step? No, this is not step at all. This is just a statement of fact from the passage. Second, earlier urbanizers developed without any constraints. Again, this has been stated in the passage, and anyway, this is the extreme statement without any constraints. That is not true. There would be some constraint, maybe not the constraints or not to the scale that we have right now, but some constraints would be there. So this is also wrong, and this is also stated in the passage only. Third, agenda of the climate negotiation needs revamp. That is the next step, because see, the agenda set, author has a problem with the agenda being set in such a way that these all negotiations are not taking place, and author wants these negotiations or discussions to take place. That is what this is the next logical step. Yes, change the agenda, revamp the agenda. And last is dealing with emissions of developing countries is next big challenge before the world. That is again statement of fact. It has been stated in the passage that developing countries are accounting for more than half of annual emissions and most of the growth in the emissions. So answer here is C. Okay, second passage is about domestic violence. Read the passage and let us come to question. I'll not discuss each and every passage because it would take lots of time, but I want to tell you that paper as such was not difficult. I would just tell you where are you finding the answers here. So question is, which of the following assumptions have been made in the passage? What are assumptions? Assumptions are things that are implicit in the passage. Author has said them without directly saying them. It is on the author's mind. It is your capacity as a reader to read author's mind. What is author assuming? So one example of assumption would be, when I am talking to you, I am assuming that you are understanding English. That is my assumption before talking to you. If I don't assume that, I cannot speak in English. It is implicit that you understand English is my assumption. That is what assumption means. It is implicit. The question is, what are the implicit things made in the passage? Let us go back to passage. First is, most women survivors of domestic violence don't file complaint. Has it been said somewhere? In a country, let's go through the passage quickly. In a country where domestic violence is a crime, so we are a country where domestic violence is a crime, definitely there are multiple laws explicitly designed to protect women. So there are multiple laws. Of course, we know them. Some of them are Dowry Prohibition Act is there. What else? Domestic Violence Act is there. Child Marriage Act is there. All these laws are there where domestic violence is a crime. Why is that? Most women survivors of the domestic violence never seek help. Which help is the author talking about? Help of the authorities, help of the police. So this is claim. This is already assumed by the author that most of the women survivors of domestic violence never seek help. It is implicit in the passage. So this is definitely an assumption. Yes. Now, then author goes on to say, simple and well-meaning questions. Why didn't you leave earlier? Why didn't you tell someone about the violence earlier? Can have the most complicated and contradictory responses. So author is saying that whenever you ask any woman who has not filed complaint, who has faced this kind of violence, that why didn't you file complaint? Why didn't you leave earlier? She gives most unexpected and contradictory responses. Women were hopeful that things would change, that they could change their husbands. Behavior, that he would listen to them. Now, what was the woman's assumption? Woman was hopeful that behavior of their partners or husbands would change. That is why they didn't file complaint. Crucially, women did not want to be burdened on the others, in particular their families. So this is again a result of patriarchal society in India, where once woman leaves her home, many times she feels that she does not have anyone back there, any backing back there. That is why they continue to suffer the harassment or consequences of their husbands or partners' domestic violence. That is what here is saying. They don't want to be burdened on others, especially their families. So if she complains, she would become burden on her family. That is the assumption by the woman. By naming the violence they experienced, women believed that they could become a problem or a source of tension for their families in bringing them shame and dishonor, irrespective of survivors' level of education, caste or class. Education, caste, class, it didn't matter when women were thinking like this. They were all believing that complaining or bringing all this in open would bring shame to their families. Now, which of the assumption? Most women survivors don't file violence. Yes, definitely this has been assumed. Second, education is not strongly correlated to tendency of women to complain against domestic violence. Yes, irrespective of education, caste, class, women were thinking that. So, this is again implicitly assumed. And third, laws alone do not guarantee their intended implementation. Yes, first statement itself says that there are multiple laws to fight against domestic violence, still crime is high. So, all three are assumed. Answer is D. The next passage, it is about IPKF and one former Indian military personnel, Siddharth Chatterjee, becoming UN resident coordinator in China. The passage goes like this: IPKF, you know that Indian peacekeeping operation in Sri Lanka was one of the biggest operation and one of the retreats actually of that Indian military or Indian army had to face. Okay, the question is, the passage goes like, the officer who fought for IPKF in Sri Lanka and battled in Nagaland now finds himself helming a different kind of mission, leading UN and its 26 agencies in China. So now he is resident coordinator of in China, resident coordinator of United Nations in China. So Siddharth Chatterjee's rise is one of the agency's key global position. So this China coordinator is a key global position given Beijing's rising importance in the UN system. Of course, China has been rising in importance in all systems, including in the UN system, and that is why this particular position is quite key. Leaves formal Indian soldier in an unlikely position, the equivalent of PLA soldier guiding UN agencies in India. So this is same as if a former or retired PLA soldier is heading Indian missions of UN. It is equivalent to that thing. So it is a big thing. That is what the author is trying to convey. He was himself surprised by how his military past did not matter to the Chinese host. So he himself was surprised. How did it happen? How did the Chinese not care about I have military background? I doubted it was possible, he said, but throughout the process and in my stint as here, my background has never been an issue, and Chinese have said to me that we see you as an international civil servant, and their attitude has been completely professional. So he is praising the Chinese. He is saying that yes, I have military past, but it did not matter to Chinese. It is highly surprising, but it did not matter to them. And they have said to me that we see you as an international civil servant, as not as an formal Indian military official. Even after 25 years in the UN system, I found this to be exceptional. So this Mr. Chatterjee has been in the UN system for 25 years, and still he found this very surprising. The question is, what are the assumptions? What are the things that are implicit in the passage? They are not directly being said, but they are clearly implicit or on the author's mind. First statement: position in China is much more lucrative than that in Africa. That is why the Mr. Chatterjee applied to the Chinese position, definitely. And it is also said that China's rise has made this position very, very key position. I have used lucrative instead of key. So this statement is definitely correct. Second, Chinese and Indians would oppose appointment of retired military officials from other countries even as a part of international agencies. Is this implicit? Yes, Mr. Chatterjee himself is so surprised. They would definitely do that. In general, of course, Chinese and Indians would appoint, this is implicit, this is assumed that in general they would assume. That is why all these things are surprising. Assumption is, in general, they would oppose appointment of former officers. So both statements are correct. That is the correct answer. Okay, passage number 4. Protracted litigation in the name of combating forcible religious conversion is taking up valuable time of courts. Okay, first statement में क्या बोल रहा है author? Protracted litigation in the name of combating forcible religious conversion. In the name of, which means that author is not really saying that forcible religious conversion is the real reason. Real reason is something else, but in the name of combating this particular forcible religious conversion, actually it is taking a lot of time of the courts. The Supreme Court is hearing a purported public interest litigation. What is purported? Cooked up or unnecessary. Purported PIL seeking action to curb deceitful religious conversion in the country. The Supreme Court is hearing this cooked up or unnecessary PIL seeking action against religious conversion, which is taking up lot of time of the courts. So it is about question 1. Question dekho, which issue has been highlighted by the passage primarily? So of course multiple issues may be highlighted, but what is the primary issue that passage is trying to bring out? First, protracted litigation showcasing delay in justice. Protracted litigation is there, it is mentioned, but the delay in justice is not the main issue. It is not the main thing author is talking about in the passage. Author is not talking about delay in justice anywhere, except he is talking about this particular litigation eating valuable time of courts. It is not about delay in justice. Second, protracted litigation. Okay, first statement is issue of forcible conversion in India. Of course, that is not the thing author is concerned about. Author is saying in the name of that, some motivated individuals have been wasting time of courts. That is the issue author is concerned about. Third, misuse of PIL by those having narrow agenda. Yes, misuse of PIL is the thing author is concerned about. So some people who are motivated, they are filing PILs which is ending up eating a lot of time of the courts. Misuse of PIL is the issue author is most concerned about in the passage. Okay. Fourth is dynamism of constitution as per changing social mores. That is nowhere to be mentioned, nowhere to be found in the passage. Okay. Next question. After these 4 questions, we have questions from other areas. Let us see. Question is, how many parallelograms are hidden inside following figure? Note that outer quadrilateral is a rhombus. So the thing is, you need to be clear about all these terms. What is a rhombus? What is a parallelogram? What is rectangle? What is a square? All the geometric shape you need to be clear about. You need to know some of their properties, some of their important properties. And of course, my students would be knowing, because we have had this dedicated class for geometry and important properties. So we just have to calculate number of parallelograms in this figure. Okay. And note that all rectangles are also parallelograms. That is the thing you need to remember. This is from counting figures chapter. So start from here, this smaller one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have 5, 6, 7, 8, outer one 9. Okay. Now see this one, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then come to rectangle inside. All rectangles are parallelogram. We are at 13. So this smaller one, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 and entering 22. Okay. Now finally look at this, 23, 24, 25 and 26. So there are in total 26 parallelograms in the figure. It is about counting figures. You just need to count in a logical manner or some directed manner all the parallelograms you need to calculate. Which ones you would probably miss? This thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, ye wale, and rectangles वाले भी miss कर सकते हो. Other than that, there is no real difficulty here. Now, this question is on arithmetic. Very simple question. You should be able to do this within seconds. All you need to know about prime numbers. Other than that, yes, this is some calculation, but it's not such a big calculation. First statement is product of first 25 prime numbers is an odd number. So prime numbers, there is first prime number which is even 2 and all other prime numbers are odd. So because it is talking about first 25 prime numbers, it would always be even, product would always be even because 2 is a factor. So this statement is clearly wrong. I can write instead of first 25, I can write first 25,000 and still product would be even because 2 is a factor. 2 is the first prime number. So this is wrong statement. Second is average of first 8 prime numbers is a single digit number. All you need to do is add first 8 prime numbers which are 2, 3, 5, 7 and 11, 13, 17 and 19. You just need to all those 8 numbers. Addition comes out to be I think 79 and you need to divide it by 8. 79 by 8 would be less than 10 of course because 80 by 8 is 10. So this would be a single digit number. Answer is only 2. Next question देखो. Jatin likes to calculate squares of numbers. Okay. One day his friend Pooja gifts him a book. He immediately calculates sum of squares of all the page numbers and finds out that answer to be this particular thing. अच्छा. Fine. So what are we saying? The particular book, it is numbered from 1 to some n and we are calculating squares of those numbers and addition comes out to be this. So all you need is this forming this equation 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square. So if there are n pages in the book, up to n square is 3, 7, 9, 5. This is the equation and this addition is n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 by 6 is equal to 3, 7, 9, 5. Okay. This is the thing you have to do. You should know this thing. Without it, it is very difficult to solve. It is practically impossible to solve. But we have already done questions on this in the class. So I was UPSC is also asking you questions like this. Sum of numbers, sum of 1 to n, उस पे काफी question आ चुके हैं. So the logical next step is next question could come from sum of squares. Okay. So you put the values here. When you put n is equal to 22, you would get the answer. Right. The next question. In a game of tug of war, I hope you know, when two people pull on each other, that is tug of war. Shikha and Balbir easily won over Shraddha. Let's look at the question. Who is the weakest is the question. Okay. So there are in tug of war, strong people pull weak people towards them. So first question, Shikha and Balbir easily won over Shraddha and Devendra. So Shikha plus Balbir is greater than Shraddha plus Devendra. Okay. When Shikha and Shraddha were a team, so Shikha plus Shraddha, they could barely pull, Balbir and Devendra barely pull but still pull. So it is still greater by however little quantity, Balbir and Devendra. When Shikha and Devendra played in a team against Balbir and Shraddha, the game ended in a draw, is equal to Balbir and Shraddha. These are the equations you have, and based on this information, you have to find out who is the weakest. Firstly, using So this is, let's say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Here you have S, here you have S plus D. So let's just add D on the both sides. D is greater than 0. So we can add S plus B plus D is SR plus B plus D, and S plus D is B plus SR. So here we are adding plus D, here also we are adding plus D. So we are getting D S plus D, which is B plus SR. B plus SR plus B is 2B plus SR is greater than SR plus 2D, right? SR gets cancelled. So 2B is greater than 2D. So we are having B is greater than D. That is number 1. Same thing we do with second thing. यहाँ पे D add कर देते. Then we get S plus D plus SR is B plus D plus D. S plus D becomes B plus SR, right? So we have here B plus 2SR is B plus 2SR greater than B plus 2D. Again here B gets cancelled and you get SR greater than D, right? And the third thing, we just add these two, 1 and 2 we add. By adding we get 2S plus B plus SR. 2S plus B plus SR is greater than B plus SR plus 2D. So everything gets cancelled, B gets cancelled, SR gets cancelled, you get S greater than D. Because of these three things, D is clearly the weakest. Okay, I will provide PDF. I'll ask them to upload the PDF. Now look at this question. It is about time or clocks. Samakshi and Pooja made arrangements to meet at a cafe at 2 p.m. So they both want to meet at the cafe at 2 p.m. Samakshi thinks her watch is 25 minutes fast. So 25 minutes fast का मतलब क्या होता है? When actually it is 2 o'clock in the real clock, you would have 2:25 in the Samakshi's clock. Although it is 10 minutes delayed, but in reality it is 10 minutes delayed. So if the clock shows 2, in reality the clock is at 1:50. Real clock is at 1:50. And Pooja thinks that her watch is 10 minutes slow while it is 5 minutes soon, means fast. So what will happen if they aim to arrive at precisely on time? It's very simple. All you need to do is write where when would they leave and when would they reach. See, this is Samakshi, this is Pooja. Okay. Aim is to reach at 2. Both think that they will reach at 2. So time in their clock, उनको क्या लग रहा है? She thinks it is 2:25 because she thinks her watch is 25 minutes fast, right? And Pooja thinks her watch is 25 minutes slow. Sorry, this is not 2:25, this would be 1:35, because then it would be 2 in real clock when her clock shows 1:35. Again उल्टा हो गया. and because Pooja thinks her watch is 10 minutes slow, so it would be 150. But in reality, what is the time? In reality, Samakshi's watch is 10 minutes delayed. So it is actually 2:35 and here it is actually 1:45. Her watch is 5 minutes fast. So this is the real times. So in real times, Samakshi will be 35 minutes late, yes. And Pooja will arrive at 1:45, yes. Ahead of time. So A is the answer. Got it? You just needed to write down what is their aimed time, what time their clock shows, and what is the real clock will show. Their clock will show 2:25 because she has she has planned her trip in such a way that she will reach at 2 in real clock, but because she thinks that her clock is 25 minutes fast, she should reach at 2:25 according to her clock. So according to her clock, she reaches at 2:25, but in reality, it is 10 minutes slow. So it is 2:35 in real clock. So that is why she is 35 minutes late, and Pooja is at 1:45. So that is the answer. This is a very interesting question. Question in itself is easy, but I have asked you to calculate one more thing. So this is very famous number, Hardy-Ramanujan number or a taxi cab number, and there is a story behind it. Story goes like, when Ramanujan was ill, he was visited by his mentor G.H. Hardy, and when Hardy met Ramanujan, he said that I just saw a cab with very weird number. I didn't like it at all. So Ramanujan asked him, what is it? What was the number? And Hardy immediately said that it was 1729. I found it very weird or ugly. Ramanujan was quick to answer that, what are you talking about? This is a very beautiful number, and this is the smallest number such that it can be written as sum of 2 cubes, like 1 cube plus 12 cube, and at the same time it can be written as 7 cube plus 10 cube. Okay, instead of 9 you should make it 10. This is 10, not 7 cube. This is 9 cube plus 10 cube. 9 cube plus 10 cube. This is 9 cube plus 10 cube. 1 cube plus 12 cube and 9 cube plus 10 cube. So anyway, this was the taxi cab number. That is what I wanted you to calculate. It is the smallest number which can be written as sum of cubes of 2 numbers in 2 ways. So this is the numbers. This is one pair and this is another. And I want you to calculate arithmetic mean of prime factors of Hardy-Ramanujan number. You just need to calculate prime factors of this. I hope you all are familiar with prime factorization. If you are not, we spend a lot of time on prime factorization because it is very fundamental to the questions that are being asked these days. Be it divisibility, be it remainders, be it anything, prime factorization is the way to go. Be it HCF LCM, prime factorization is the way to go. Prime numbers are building blocks of entire number system, and we should be very well versed with prime numbers and prime factorization of numbers. Prime factorization, we say, is unique for each number up to order. Now to find prime factorization of 1729, little bit effort you need to take, but it turns out that 1729 is equal to 7. It is divisible by 7, you can check. 7 into 13 into 19. This is not very difficult to calculate once you get to 7. Okay, and average, I just wanted to calculate average of these 3 numbers. So 7 plus 13 plus 19, it turns out to be 39, and average of 39, 3 numbers whose sum is 39 is 30. So answer simply is B. It was about prime factorization. Again we come to passages. Passage starts with, individuals never formed societies. Society is always composed of classes. That is the claim author is making at the very outset, that yes, individuals do not form the society. Humans are social animals, and society, any society will always compose of class, some kind of class, not necessarily class. Here we are not talking, author is not necessarily talking about in terms of wealth, but in general on some attribute there would be class. World over, existence of definite classes is a fact. Of course, in every society that ever existed, in every civilization that ever existed, we have had classes. There could be different types of classes, of course. Then author goes on economic or intellectual or social, but individual is always a member of a class. Okay, classes could be different, but individual is always member of a class. Society is formed of classes or classes, not of individuals. Next, early Hindu society couldn't have been exception, and we know it was not. Of course, early Hindu society, how can it be exception? It was again a human society. So now we only have to determine which was the first class to be converted into caste, and how to know the origin of the caste. The author is interested in finding origin of the caste. He says that, see, classes are everywhere. We just need to know which was the first class that converted itself into caste. So there is some difference between general class and caste. A caste is an enclosed class. That also author is explaining. Caste is an enclosed class. How enclosed? Enclosed by endogamy. Now we need to answer this question. What was the first class that put enclosure around itself? This is the author's debate with himself. And he says this is the question that we need to answer. Therefore, the customs are seen across Hindu society. All kinds of customs, tradition we see across Hindu society. However, they are most strictly observed only in one caste, Brahmins, who occupy the highest place in caste hierarchy. The prevalence in non-Brahmins is derivative of observance among Brahmins. It's neither strict nor complete. That is the claim author is making. After all the discussion, after the question which he wants to answer, he says that he asked the question, which is the first class that put enclosure around itself so as to convert into caste. Caste is an enclosed class, enclosed by endogamy. So author says that I just want to know which is the first class, and then he claims that it would be the Brahmins. Because why? The whichever customs or traditions that are being observed in the Hindu society, they are observed most strictly and completely in only one caste, that is Brahmins. In all other caste, it is derivative or strict nahi hai. They are neither strict nor complete. So whenever the caste wants to attain higher status, that is the part of Sanskritization which we know otherwise, that whenever the caste wants to attain higher social status, social mobility, it starts to observe stricter customs like Brahmins. So this is the claim author has made. This passage is from Castes in India by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, wherein he probes what is the origin of the caste, and it is his claim that this kind of explanation explains the origin of the caste. Question is, which of the following is the most logical rational inference? Inference is, what can you take out? What they take away from the passage? That is the inference. Excuse me. Okay. First, humans are social animals, which is reflected in caste being functional unit of Indian society rather than individual. This is nowhere to be seen. The author has not said that caste is a functional unit of Indian society, nor has he implied it anywhere, nor is it concern of the passage. Okay, next, caste is a natural evolution. No. Natural, it is not. The passage says nothing about caste being natural evolution. Class, yes, class he says that it is seen across human civilizations. That is also is not talking in terms of natural or unnatural. So caste being natural is nowhere to be mentioned, nowhere to be found even implicitly or implied in an implied way. Third, Brahmins were the first class that closed themselves for and thus ended class mobility in society, and class turned into caste. That is what author is trying to say. That Brahmins were the first who enclosed themselves, thus turning their particular class into caste, and once you turn class into caste, it is enclosed class, so there is no social mobility, and class turns into caste. That is the claim author is primarily trying to make. Customs and tradition, observed in other societies only because Brahmins made them do so. No, nobody can make them. Anyway, Brahmins are what percentage of population? Hardly 2-3%. How can they make 97% observe these kinds of traditions? Nobody can force you to do that. Brahmin didn't make them do it. Brahmins just enclosed themselves. That is the passage. That is what the passage is saying. Okay. Now next, Alan Clark said that in the end we are all sacked and it's always awful. It is as inevitable as death following life. Okay. This is a quote. Let me tell you about the Gilgamesh saga. Gilgamesh saga is one of the very famous stories from ancient Mesopotamia. This story is there in the passage itself. In the Mesopotamian mythology, King Gilgamesh of Uruk once witnessed death of his friend. Horrified, he decides to find the cure for death and sets out a long journey to the end of the universe in order to discover that cure for the death. The secret of immortality. He returns empty-handed back to his kingdom and enhancing belief that gods have set death as the inevitable destiny for humans. That is the Gilgamesh story. He was the legendary king of Uruk, and he, after witnessing death of his dear friend, he wanted to find way to be immortal. He traveled across the worlds, universes, fought with everyone, defeated everyone, but still ended up empty-handed and didn't find the cure for death. So he came back and ruled peacefully thereafter. That was the story. So anyway, he returns, but today scientists are challenging the notion that death is inevitable and the Gilgamesh project is a quest for immortality. So there is something called as Gilgamesh project wherein scientists are trying to defeat death. Gilgamesh project is the name because taking inspiration from this particular story. So now scientists are actually challenging death. In the scientific revolution era, we treat death as a technical problem, not as a something inevitable. This is not there in the passage. This is just something I am adding. Can we really appreciate the sheer scale of ambition scientists have? And they might end up changing the world, and we might end up becoming immortal soon. Passage towards the end says that let us just appreciate sheer scale of ambition, that we are trying to defeat the death itself. Now that is highly ambitious, and because of that ambition, they might end up changing the world. We don't know that, and we might end up becoming immortal, all of us. Now, which of the following statements would author agree with most? A. Ambition is the poison that hampers tranquility. The passage is not concerned about tranquility and all. Author actually appreciates the ambition, as we saw towards the end. Second, death is a certainty that humans can never defeat, as evident from Gilgamesh story. That is not the way author is saying. Author is saying that the challenge has been made and we might end up doing that. So author is not saying will never defeat death. Author is saying we might. Who knows? So this is not the statement author would agree with. Definitely not. Third, big results require big ambition. Yes. Because scientists are having big ambition, they might get big results. Big results require big ambition. That is definitely what author would agree with. Third, immortality for humans is inevitable. Not definitely not. That is not inevitable. We are not sure. Inevitable means certain, sure. We are sure that immortality will happen. That is not something we are sure of, but we are trying, of course. So option number C is the correct one here. Passage number 3, our favorite, Gandhiji has done a lot of good things, and in his passage, you can read this passage from history angle as well. It is very useful that way as well. See, Gandhi's ability to use symbols was uncanny. Okay, symbols. Gandhiji was able to use symbols to mobilize people, mobilize public opinion, mobilize international opinion, and so on. His charkha or spinning wheel is case in point. Charkha emerged as a symbol of Gandhi's entire constructive program. So Gandhiji worked on two fronts. First was political freedom for India, and second, his social programs, which were clubbed as constructive programs together. What were the constructive programs? Sanitation, education, then Hindu-Muslim unity, What else? Khadi and village enterprises. All these things were. I'm forgetting one. Anyway, go back to your history notes and revise those. These are the constructive programs that were run by Gandhiji. Untouchability, fight against untouchability, that was the one I was forgetting. So these are all were dubbed as constructive programs. And Charkha emerged as symbol of that constructive program. It was symbol of Swadeshi, self-sufficiency, and symbolized independence as well. For colonialism was rooted in economic operation of Indian economy by British and destruction of indigenous industries. Charkha emerged as symbol of independence. Why? Because British colonialism was rooted in oppression of Indian economy for British benefits and destruction of local indigenous industries. That was the root of colonialism. So that it was, Charkha was symbol of independence, Charkha was symbol of Swadeshi, of course. It was self-sufficiency. It showed power of self-reliance, perseverance and determination. Everyone was to spin for self, which expounded dignity of labor. Charkha, one particular Charkha, it emerged as symbol for everything else. Eventually, it emerged as a symbol for nationalism and independence as well. Why? Because all the leaders embraced Charkha. That is why it emerged naturally as a symbol of independence. Salt is another example. It resonated with all, across class, caste, region, religion. It was unique universal grievance like no other. So like Charkha, salt was another example of that. Question: Charkha symbolized which of the following? Self-sufficiency? Yes. Independence? Yes. British imperialism? Definitely not. Why would Charkha symbolize imperialism? Charkha symbolized independence, not imperialism. So statement 3 is definitely wrong and only 1 and 2 is the answer. This is what Charkha symbolized according to the passage. Okay. Next question. A 2-digit natural number and a number formed by reversing the digits are added. Let S be the sum. Now this is the question on place value system, which we study as the first thing when we start studying arithmetic. This is very simple question. All you need to write is this number PQ, some number, 2-digit number is PQ. We write it as 10P plus Q. Place value of P is 10P, place value of Q is Q, and we just write it in this form. Reversing the digits, QP is equal to 10Q plus P. It is saying that we add these two numbers. So this is addition is S is equal to 10P plus P, 11P, Q plus 10Q, 11Q, right, which is equal to 11 into P plus Q. Now let's read the statement. S is always divisible by 3? Not necessarily, because 11 is definitely not divisible by 3. P plus Q may or may not be divisible by 3. We can't be sure. So statement 3 is not correct. S is divisible by 11? Definitely. 11 is a factor. 11 into PQ and P plus Q is the sum. So 11 is definitely a factor of S. Statement 2 is definitely correct. So answer is 2 only. See, these are very easy questions which are being asked by the UPSC. Huh? You need to be really careful about this. If you can't do this, you need work. You need to work really hard. Now again, this is the question. Look at this. This is very frequently asked questions in data sufficiency as well as in other formats. This question is based on linear equations, and I have told this n number of times in class that how to solve linear equations and what is required to solve linear equations. Question, let us first read the question. Vinod and Javed's salaries are in this proportion. Question is, what is Vinod's salary? So there are two unknowns. One unknown is Vinod's salary, second unknown is Javed's salary. Let us call them, what do we call them? Let us call them V and J. This is Vinod's salary, this is Javed's salary. Okay, they both are unknown. So we have two unknowns, and question itself gives us one equation that they are in the proportion of 4:3. So Vinod is to Javed is equal to 4:3, or 3V is equal to 4J. This equation is given in the question itself. Now to solve the two variables, to solve the system of equations with two variables, or to find out answer for equation involving two variables. To find out values of two variables, we need two equations. We need two equations, out of which one is given. We need one more equation which is not same as this, which is not dependent on this, which is independent and which is in these two variables. To solve equation in two variables, we need two equations. N equations, n unknowns we can solve, but those n equations need to be independent. They can't be dependent equations. That is the whole point of it. Now, statement number 1, Javed's salary is 75% that of Vinod's salary. Let us write this equation. Javed's salary is 75% of Vinod's salary. So, Javed's salary is equal to 75% is 3 by 4 of Vinod's salary. So, 4J is equal to 3V. Is it same or different? This is same equation. So, still we only have one equation. We don't have two equations. This is not helping us. This is not helping us at all. And second is Javed's salary is 4500. So, J is equal to 4500. This is good. This is we have Javed's value. So, Javed into 4 divided by 3, we get Vinod's value. Here we can solve. We don't want to find out the answer. That is not the concern. We only want to know if we can find the answer. Is it sufficient to answer? But statement 2, which is independent equation, is definitely sufficient. Statement 1, which is the same or dependent equation, is definitely not sufficient. That is the thing. So, answer would be statement number 2 alone is sufficient. Again, very simple question which just looks difficult. All you need to know is factorization, prime factorization again. Now look at this. N is equal to, here n is equal to 80 factorial. And we want to know how many zeros are at the end of n. What is a zero? Zero is basically 10, right? 50 is actually 5 into 10, right? 500 is equal to actually 5 into 100, or 100 is 10 into 10. How many times 10 appears at the end would decide number of zeros. 2 बार आ रहा है तो 2 zeros होंगे, 3 बार आ रहा है तो 3 होंगे, 1 बार आ रहा है तो 1 होगा, like that. So, in this particular product, what do we have? 80 factorial, and 10 is what? 10 is equal to 2 into 5, right? So, all we want to know how many times 2 into 5 appears in this particular product. Now, 2 would appear how many times? Many times. It would appear in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and so on. And 5 would appear in 5, 10, 15, 20, all these things 5 would appear. Which would appear more number of times? 2 would appear many times, but 5 would appear many times. So, 5 is the limiting agent. So, number of zeros would depend on 5. We will get 1 5. For each 5, we will have 2. 2 are in a very high quantity. So, for each 5, we get 2. So, let me just write it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We get 5 from here. We get 5 from here as well. So, in each 10 from here 11 to 20, 21 to 30 up to 71 to 80. You will have 5 here, 15, 1 5 would be here, this is 5 into 3, 1 5 would be here, 5 here, 5 here, and in 75 also there is 5, right? And 5 would be here, 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 and so on, because 10 is 2 into 5, this is 4 into 5 and so on. Okay. Now 5, that is what we want to calculate, how many times 5 is appearing, because 5 is the limiting agent. 2 would appear many more number of times than compared to 5. So 5 would appear twice in this first 10. It would appear twice in the first 10, similarly twice in the second 10, similarly up to 80. So these are 8 into 2, 16 times it appears like this. Then, is there any double counting? For example, consider 25. 25 is 5 into 5, it is appearing twice, but we have only calculated once. So we have to calculate one more time. That is why there is one double counting in 25. There is one double counting in 50, which is 25 into 2. There is one double counting in 75, which is 3 into 25. So 1, 2 and 3. 5 appears 3 more times other than these 16. So 16 plus 3, 19 is the answer. Okay. I hope this is clear. How many zeros appear at the end of the n? Next question is from syllogism chapter. Syllogisms. First statements, all tigers are dogs. So there are, if this is tiger, then this is dog. All tigers are dogs. So second is, some tigers are cats. So cat is something like, it could be something like this, cats. Or it could be something like this as well, cats. Some tigers are cats. Okay. All cats are lions. So lions. This is lions, or it could be like this as well. And finally, all cows are lions. So cows is inside the lion enclosure. It could be here, it could be here, it could be here, it could be here, anywhere. Fine. Conclusions dekh lo. Some dogs are lions. Definitely lion is this or this. So dogs and lions are definitely intersecting. So some dogs are lions is definitely correct. Second, some cows are dogs. No, cows could be here, here, here. All these smaller circles were cows. So cows and dogs may not have to intersect each other. So this is wrong. 3, some lions are tigers. Definitely. Intersection of these are tigers. This is larger circle is lion. So there is always some intersection. So this is also correct. And all cats are dogs. This was cats. All cats are dogs. No. There are some cats which are not dogs. That is also not true. So answer is 1 and 3 only. Now this is a very interesting question. Question is, a bag contains 5 identical cats. This is very important. Identical cats, identical. These cats are identical. Then this is just redundant information that Schrödinger wants to choose 2 cats out of them randomly without looking at them to check if cats are dead or alive. That is okay. The thing is, he just wants to choose 2 cats out of these 5 identical cats. Okay. And why? Because there is this paradox called as Schrödinger's paradox. Schrödinger was a very famous physicist who gave us the wave equation, one of the fundamental equations in quantum physics. So this is the paradox. You can watch that watch a small explanatory video on YouTube or something. Question is, how many ways are there to make such a choice? Now there are 5 identical cats and I want to choose 2 of them. How many ways are there to do it? If the cats were not identical, we knew. If the cats were different, cats were numbered or they are different colored, then in general there are 10 C2 choices. 10 choose 2. But this is when cats are not identical. This is when cats are different. When we have choice to make. But now cats are not different. Cats are identical. It just doesn't matter which 2 you choose. All are identical. So answer is none of the above, because it is not 0, 1. There is only one way to choose. Because cats are identical, there is only one way to choose. It doesn't matter once you choose 2 cats out of the 5, it is only one possibility to choose, because all cats are identical. That is given in the question. Answer is 1, not 10 C2, which is, I think, 10. 10 is not the answer. 10, sorry, not 10, 5, 5. 5C2 is not the answer. It is actually 1, because cats are identical. If the cats were not identical, answer would be 5C2 or 10. Okay. This is very simple question. What is the number of roots? You just have to calculate number of roots. You can go from here to here to here. So this is one way. From here, then 1 and 2. So there are 2 choices here. Then this is one choice, and from here 1. Then these are 2 choices. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 is the 6 choices. Very easy question. You just have to calculate number of possible roots. There is no real explanation required for this. Now this thing. What is the day on 11th December 2085? Yesterday was 11th December 2022. It was Sunday. That is the data you already have. 11 December 2022 is Sunday, that you know. You have to go till 2085. All you need to calculate is how many leap years are there, how many normal years are there. Just add them. For leap year, every day goes 2 plus ahead by 2, and for normal year it goes ahead by 1 day. So in between these two, there are, like, from leap year would be something divisible over. So 2024 is leap year, then 28 is leap year, and so on till 2084 is a leap year. This is 4 into 6. This is 4 into 21. So from 6 to 21, how many days are there? There are, including both, 16 leap years are there from 6 to 21, right? If you can't get 16, you can just simply calculate. So from these 16, you get 16 into 2 is equal to 32 days ahead. Because in leap year, for example, let us consider 1st Jan 2024 is some Monday. If I'm not saying it is, if this is Monday, then 1st Jan 2025 is Wednesday. You get 2 ahead, plus 2. If this was not leap year, then you get, let us say, 25, and this is 26. Then you get Monday to Tuesday plus 1. Okay, Monday to Tuesday. Here you go Monday to Wednesday. Anyway, because there are 16 leap years move ahead days by 32, and rest of them are non-leap years. How many are rest of them? So 2085 minus 2022, there are 79 or 69 years in between. Right? नहीं क्या कर रहे हैं? 63 years, sorry, 63 years in between, right? So out of 63, 16 are leap years. Rest 37 are non-leap years. So 37 into 1 is equal to 37. You add them, you have 77. This is what all we want to find out is what is the remainder when we divide by 7. 79 आइए. So this is 77 into 11 plus 2. 2 is the remainder. So you go ahead by 2. From Sunday you go to Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday is the answer. All these things require a little bit of practice. In classes we cover everything in very much detail. I cannot spend more time on this because I want to cover entire paper. Now let us look at this passage. For 2 million years, human brain grew and became more complex. Okay. With use of superior tools, learning abilities and social structures, we may think we had a huge advantage, but apart from stone knives, we have had nothing to show for it. The author says that yes, human brains were beginning to become more and more complex. We had superior tools, we had learning abilities, and we had social structures as well. And because of this, we might think that we were very much superior. We had huge advantage over other species. But in reality, apart from stone knives, we had nothing to show for it. We were not special. Humans remained a marginal species for over 2 million years. For 2 million years, we were a simple marginal species in the savannas. We were not special. Okay, in savannas, for instance, it wasn't of much use. Humans could win an argument with gorilla, but gorilla could rip humans apart. So your argumentative ability or your learning abilities, your brain power, superior tools were of no use in savannas in reality. You remained a marginal species for over 2 million years. So what made evolution to still persist with complex brain? We don't know. So why, if this was not such a great advantage that you should have a complex brain, that humans should have a complex brain, why did evolution still persisted with complex brain? We just don't know. Okay, we don't know why it happened. That is what the author is saying, because in evolution, what does theory of evolution say? The weaker traits or the traits which are not useful would automatically weeded out, and the stronger ones which would survive better would be kept. Survival of the fittest. Weaker thing should be weeded out, but complex brain were not such a big advantage. In fact, they were a drag. But so why did evolution persist with it? We don't know. That is what the passage says. Now the question: which of the following statements would author not agree with? Not A. Humans had a superior tools for a long time, which might have helped them to survive. Yes, might have. This is a generic statement. It is not a problem. Survival के लिए help, of course. Stone knives, if there were stone knives, it would have helped them to survive, definitely. B. Humans were pretty much at the middle of food chains for most of the most period of the history. Yes, that is what we are saying. That for 2 million years, humans were very, very marginal species or pretty much at the middle of the food chain. The theory of evolution provides solid proof to why human development happened the way it did. In the last statement, what does this passage say? So why evolution persisted with this? We don't know. So evolution does not give answer to all the things. All the questions like why the developments happen the way it did. Evolution does not answer that. That is the entire point of the passage. So C is definitely something that author would not agree with. Now D, human brain is not as impressive as we make out to be, since for over 2 million years it hadn't made much beyond stone knives. That is okay. But statement C is something author would definitely not agree with. Now look at this. This is very easy passage. I think you should be able to do this. It is about soils and soil, how it supports plant growth, nutrition, water percolation, maintains groundwater level, regulates climate. It is the second largest carbon sink. Then it is making landscape more resilient. A soil is basis of food system. So it is no surprise that it is critical for food production as well. So which is the role played by soil in our survival? Supportive condition for growth? Yes. Regulates climate? Yes. Disaster resilience? Yes. Largest carbon sink? Yes. So answer here would be D. D. Next. Okay. This is an interesting passage. Economic impact of pandemic spared a few, but there is now evidence for that. For those in the informal sector, it was devastating. So it is talking about informal sector and pandemic. A key reason was the challenge of raising capital. India's formal credit system is inhospitable to informal sector workers and micro entrepreneurs. Micro entrepreneurs basically means MSMEs. So our formal credit system means banks, financial institutions, etc. They are not very friendly to small enterprises and informal workers. Now what is the issue? They cannot even get a small personal loan to tide over cash flow issues in their businesses because they lack the papers and the collateral usually required for admission to the formal credit market. Now they can't even get a simple loan if there is some cash flow problem that I am not having cash today, my cash would arrive 2 months after. Even in that case, I can't take the loan. Why? Because I don't have the paper, I don't have the access to formal credit system, I lack some collateral. That is the issue in access to formal credit. So Why should it be so? Bankers would say that the working poor are not good credit risks and they lack behavior and aptitude associated with successful repayment outcomes. What does the bank officer would say? They don't have credit history. What if they don't pay? And there is probability that they won't have ability or attitude to repay the loan. So we would be working at risk with lack of formal credit rating of these people. Unfortunately, this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now here is the something, one peculiar word author is using, self-fulfilling prophecy. What is prophecy? Prophecy is basically future prediction. Self-fulfilling, you only predict the future and you predict in such a way that it is self-fulfilled. So whenever you are predicting whatever you are predicting, you only are responsible for its perpetuation or fructification. That is what the self-fulfilling prophecy means in general. But in this case, what does it say? Unable to borrow. Which self-fulfilling prophecy the author is talking about? Unable to borrow, the working poor cannot establish a credit history. That is point number one. Because they can't borrow, they can't establish credit history, that they are actually they have attitude to repay loan and they pay it on the time. They can't establish this fact because nobody is giving them loan in the first place. Or learn how to manage their debts and invest the loan in productive expenditure that would bolster their incomes. Earnings allows them to make their EMI payments on time. So they can't learn anything. They can't, because you are not giving them loans, they can't learn it on their own. They can't use that money in productive expenditure and give EMI back on time. They are excluded from the formal credit economy and banks are denied potentially good customers and the economy is denied their entrepreneurial energies. So everybody is at the loss due to all these things. Banks don't get good customers. Economy does not have that entrepreneurial energy which it should have. So everybody is at the loss. Question: what is the author referred to in self-fulfilling prophecy? Pandemic induced devastation in the informal sector? No, that was stayed in the first thing. Self-fulfilling prophecy is here. Interlinkages between formal and informal credit system in India? Prophecy is not interlinkages. How can interlinkages be a prophecy? This just statement just doesn't make sense. Now see, unwillingness to lend due to perception of lack of creditability. This is what author was talking about. That banks are unwilling to lend. Why? Because they perceive that it is a perception that there is lack of creditability among those who are borrowing, poor micro MSMEs and informal sector workers. It is perception of banks that they lack creditability, and that is what creating this self-fulfilling prophecy. And MSME being dependent on informal sector, that is also not the answer. Answer here is C. Then question number 24. Which of the following is the most logical rational message of the passage? Message to समझते हो? Statement number A. The vicious cycle of lack of good credit score and resultant access to formal credits needs to be broken. Definitely. That is the point of the passage. That okay, you want PDF right now? I don't have the PDF, Saurabh. I'll share it after the class. I'll ask them to share. Okay, which of the following is the most logical rational message? Yes, this is what we are talking about, that this is a vicious cycle or self-fulfilling prophecy that banks perceive that poor or MSMEs or informal sector workers don't have good creditability. That is why we can't lend them. Banks are losing good customers, economy is losing energy, and this all vicious cycle needs to be broken. That is the point of the passage. This is the message of the passage. But let us read other statements. Government intervention is imperative to bring them back to health. No, nowhere passage is talking about government intervention. See, bankers' concern regarding poor credit scores are subservient to importance of MSMEs to economy. Nowhere it is said that bankers' concerns are not valid. They are valid definitely, but we need to find some solution. This current system needs to be broken. We need to find some solution. They are not subservient per se. And D, exclusion from formal credit pushes them towards informal credit, resulting in cycle of poverty. The passage is nowhere mentioning about anything about poverty per se. Okay, now we have some pie chart where we have first quarter, second quarter, third quarter and fourth quarter sales are given. The question asks, what is the average sale of first and fourth quarter taken together? Okay. Pie chart is not important, it is just for your reference. Important data is given in the question itself. See, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4 correspond to quarter 1, 2, 3 are corresponding to 100 degree, 120 degree and 50 degree. What is the central angle of circle? It is 360 degree. That is something you need to know from your geometry. So basically, this is total angle is 360 degree. Out of this, this is 100. This is 100 degree. This is 120 degree. This angle, this is 50 degree, and this is not given, but we can calculate it as 360 minus 100 minus 120 minus 50. It comes out to be 90. So this angle is 90. So once you have central angles, you have relative proportion of all these sales, right? Sales would be in that proportion only. So sale of first and fourth quarter we want to talk about. First quarter sale 100 divided by 360 into 1080, which is equal to 300 crore, and fourth quarter is 90 divided by 360 into 1080, which is total sale. It is equal to 360 crore, right? No, 270 crore. And we want to find what is the average of these two together. It is 300 plus 270 divided by 2, which is 285. So there are multiple questions I have mixed here. Which multiple questions? One from geometry, one from calculations like these equations, and third averages. All the things you have to know with clarity, then only you can solve this question. Question itself is very easy. There is not much difficulty level as such in the question, but it is just application of these concepts. And this is very simple, but simple question actually. This is not much challenge. See, in some code language, A plus B means this, A minus B means this, A star B means brother, and question is from A star, B star, C star, D, which of the option is necessarily not true. The question only asks A star, B star, so it is only about star, all others are irrelevant in there. A star B means A is brother of B. According to it, we will draw our family diagram. So A is brother of B, A is brother of B, brothers are at the same level, and males we show it by plus. A is brother, so brother is definitely male. Okay, then B is brother of C, B is brother of C, C is brother of D. That is what. So A, B, C are definitely males because they are brothers, but D, it can be sister or brother. So D can be woman as well. All these are brothers and this could be woman, or all these are brothers, this also could be brother. So B is brother of A, definitely true. C is brother of A, this is also definitely true. A is brother of B, this is also definitely true. But D is brother of C is not necessarily true. D could be sister. This is what this statement means. A star B means A is brother of B, not the other way around. So option number C is the correct one again. Okay. Now look at this next question. It is a long question, a very easy one actually. It seems difficult, but it only requires one question, one formula, which is distance equal to speed into time. That is all, nothing else. So let us see what is happening. So we are, these two people, one is Bus and one is Neeraj, are traveling from Delhi to Agra. They at 4:30, this particular guy Neeraj crosses the bus. Then at 6, he reaches here. Bus is here. At 7:30, bus is here. Neeraj stays there and then comes back and crosses it. So let us say that speed of Neeraj is n, speed of bus is b. Okay. So this entire distance from 4:30 to 6, Neeraj travels from this particular point where bus was here, bus at the point B1 to this. So this distance is 1.5 into Neeraj ka speed. Distance is speed into time, definitely. And in that time, what is this distance? This is 1.5 into B, right? Bus ka speed into 1.5 hours. Okay, then Neeraj stays there for half an hour. 1 hour. So at 7 he starts his journey, return journey, and he meets bus at this particular point 7:30. So what is this distance? 0.5 into n, right? Okay. And what is the distance in between? Again 6 to 7:30, 1.5 hours have passed. Bus is continuing to travel because even though Neeraj has stopped there and Neeraj is taking rest from 6 to 7, bus is traveling in the same speed. So this is again 1.5 b. What do we have in total? This is 1.5 b, this is 1.5 b, this is 0.5. So 1.5 b plus 1.5 b plus 0.5 n is equal to this total distance 1.5 n. This is what we have, and when you solve this is 1.5 plus 1.5 3b is equal to n, right? And according to this, you have this is we want to find when will bus reach from here to here. Bus has to cover distance of 0.5 n with the speed b is n by 3, right? So time is equal to distance, which is 0.5 n, divided by speed, which is n by 3, which is equal to 1.5. After 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours after 7:30. So at 9 p.m. this would happen. Okay. Answer is D. I know I'm going a little bit fast, but I really have to cover multiple things. That is why we are going a little bit fast. If you have any doubt, you can definitely reach out. That is not an issue. Look at this question. What is the remainder when this particular number is divided by 100? Now, all we have to find out what is the meaning of particular number being divided by 100, or for that matter 10 raised to anything. For that matter, what is the remainder when you divide particular number by 10? Then we'll go to 100, then we'll go to 1000. Question has already been asked on 10 and 100. That is why I have asked on 1000. The next logical step. When you divide any number, let's say 55, when you want to divide it by 10, okay, what is the remainder? 55 is 50 plus 5. So this is entirely divisible by 10. So this is the remainder. 5 is the remainder. So you take 63. What is the remainder? 3 is the remainder. You take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the remainder when you divide this by 10? 5 is the remainder. So you see, whenever you divide any number by 10, units place is the remainder. Okay. What about 100? So 123, and we want to divide it by 100 and find the remainder. It is 100 plus 23. So 23 is the remainder. It is less than 100. This is divisible by 100. Remainder is always less than divisor. Then we have anything 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. This is what 1, 2, 4, 0, 0 plus 56. So 56 is the remainder. This is divisible by 100. So take any number 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 3, anything. These two digits would always be remainder. Last ke 2 digit would be remainder when we divide number by 100. Now similarly about 1000, what would we have? What would be remainder when you divide any number by 1000? Like 1, 2, 3, 4 is equal to 1000 plus 2, 3, 4. This is the remainder. This is less than 1000. So last ke 3 digits would be the remainder. The question now becomes, find out last 3 digits of this particular number. What is this number? 4 raised to 30 into 5 square plus 1. I can write this as 4 raised to 30 is 2 raised to 60 into 5 square plus 1. Now let us find what are the last 3 digits of this particular number, and we can then just add 1. Okay. 2 raised to 60 is equal to 2 raised to 58 into 2 square 5 square. This is what? This is 2 square 5 square is 100. That is why I have taken 2 square out. Now whatever this particular number is, this is some blah blah blah, then units place of this particular number, and at the end you will have 0 0 because 100 se multiply karna hai. So all we need now is the units place of this particular number. Now we have already seen this. Powers of 2, units places of powers of 2 come in this format: 2, 4, 8, 6, and this pattern just keeps on repeating. This pattern keeps on repeating. So this is when remainder is 1, remainder is 2, remainder is 3, remainder is 4 when divided by 4. So this 58, what is the remainder when we divide it by 4? It is 2. So this is why units place would be 4. So here it would be 4, and last 3 digits you have 400 for this thing, and you have to add 1. So answer is 401. I had changed the options at the last minute. So answer is 401. Okay. Okay. I hope that was clear. Next, this is a very standard question. There are 2 ways to do it. One is entirely writing down the equation. Another is just remember the formula. Formula is you write non-recurring part and recurring part. You write like this. You subtract non-recurring part and you divide. There are 2 digits recurring: 2 3 2 3 2 3. For that you write 9 9, and number of digits between decimal point and when the recurring part starts, there are 2 digits here, 1 and 2. So you write 2 zeros for them. This is the answer, which is basically D. This is the formula, but in general there are other methods as well which we discuss in detail in class. When that is useful, when you forget the formula, you can derive it very very quickly. Again, this is data sufficiency question. Question is, what is the value of x? First statement, x is the smallest integer divisible by 3. What are integers is very very important. Okay. In case the question was about natural numbers, we can easily say that 3 is the smallest natural number divisible by 3. But because we have integers are from minus infinity, you have minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So you cannot really find smallest integer divisible by 3, because minus 3 is also divisible by 3, minus 6, minus 9, minus 12, and so on. So smallest integer divisible by 3 cannot be found out using only this information. X is less than 100. Again, this is not useful to find out x alone. Taken together, still not useful. Less than 100, okay, but there are infinitely many values, infinitely many numbers which are divisible by 3. Both the statements are not enough. If this was instead of integer, if it was natural number, we could easily say that yes, 3 is the smallest digit, smallest number, smallest natural number divisible by 3. That we could have said, but because the question is about integer, answer here is Statement 2 and 1 and 2 together taken also are not sufficient. Now let's look at this. This is about Keshwananda Bharati case. In the backdrop of struggle for constitutional supremacy, the Supreme Court delivered what is arguably the most monumental decision in its history on 25th April 1973. How do we remember this date? This is Sachin Tendulkar's birthday as well. Anyway, this decision came out on that particular day. Keshwananda Bharati was a state of Kerala, a unique in the history of international constitutional law for several reasons. So why it was unique in international law as well? The anxious political circumstances, of course, the shift in balance of democratic power it caused. It caused democratic balance of power shifting. Na? Earlier, Parliament was all supreme, but this now with this, power shifted. Balance of power again tilted. Now, Supreme Court can decide basic structure. The unprecedented number of separate opinions delivered by the court. In general, court delivers judgment. This was 13 judge bench, and everybody, now I don't know if everybody delivered different judgment, but many of the judges gave separate opinions, and it was one in the favor of basic structure doctrine by razor thin margin, 676. Separate opinions as well as by the sheer length of judgment itself. That was also huge. That was also what made them special. What made this judgment unique? This is the only question. Why is Keshwananda Bharati case unique? Its impact on separation of power, definitely. That is said explicitly there. Length of judgment, it is said. The time for which the court heard the case, it is not mentioned in the passage. So please, you have to answer only on the basis of passage, not your other prior knowledge. Yes, it is true. It is true that court heard this case was for very long time. I think it was 5 months straight they were hearing this case, but that is not given in the passage, so we can't answer that. In the basic structure doctrine that ensued this judgment. You know that, but that is not again mentioned in the passage. Basic structure doctrine is not mentioned in the passage. Yes, definitely you will get some off for level up. If you are already student of any other course, you can combine, you can buy the combo patches. If you are student of PMP or Santosh Sir's current affairs course, you can club that with CSAT and you will get discount on the bunch. Please call office for that particular information. Understood? You have to answer only on the basis of passage and not your prior knowledge. That is very important. All these passages I have taken up from one book or the other, and some of them I have taken from newspaper articles. These are in itself very good passages. You can study them, you can use them in your essays as well, because they come from very good sources, and if you find that you can use them, you can definitely use them. Okay, for example, this passage I have taken from Discovery of India. It is the autobiography of our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. Earlier passage I had taken from this very famous book, 10 Judgments That Changed India. That was the book. From that book I have taken an earlier passage. Okay, anyway, let's read this passage. Ends and means were they tied up inseparably, acting and reacting on each other. The wrong means distorting and sometimes even destroying the end in view. This means and end and means debate. We are not unfamiliar with it. We all study in, this particular debate in ethics. Do ends justify means? Do means justify ends, etc. Okay. The author is saying that, author is asking the question, are they so tied up that they are acting and reacting on each other, and wrong means distorting and sometimes even destroying the end in view. So mean always wrong. If the mean is always wrong, if the mean is wrong, does it always distort or destroy the end in view? This is the question author is asking himself. But the right means might well be beyond capacity of infirm and selfish human nature. That is there. Human nature is always selfish and infirm. Infirmity, you know that word. So that can be beyond us. Right means we cannot, all of us cannot follow right means, because that we are just selfish human nature. We all have that. What then was the one to do? What is the rational thing one can do? Not to act was a complete confession of failure and submission to evil. One option is not to act. Let's not act. So there is no question of ends or means. So, but that is a complete confession of failure and submission to evil. Not doing anything is submission to evil. To act meant often enough a compromise with some form of that evil. If you act, you might perform some evil because of your selfish human nature. You might commit some acts which are not in with the right means. That is what the author is saying. To act often meant a compromise. You have to make a compromise if you act with all such untoward consequences that such compromises result in, and you have to suffer the consequence. If you don't act, you are just submitting to evil and you are a failure. You are failed. But if you act, you need to compromise with whatever evil that is happening and the consequences that they might result in, that you have to deal with. Which of the following is the most rational logical corollary? Corollary is the next step. What is the next step? Great men are those who follow right means even in the face of selfish human nature. No, there is nothing in there that you should follow right means always, etc. That is not author's concern, and that is nowhere to be mentioned. Neither is it a corollary or the next step. B. Real moral life is about owning up consequences of one's action rather than cowering behind inaction. That is definitely something author is saying, that inaction is a failure. It is actually aiding the evil, but real moral life is about owning up consequences. You have to own up your consequences. You have to act, but you have to deal with, you have to compromise with the consequences that might happen. So this is the right answer. The confusion created by means ends debate makes men incompetent and active. It is not. There is nothing in passage about competency. Incompetent is definitely wrong word here. D. Ends justify means when it leads to maximum benefit for maximum number of people. This is utilitarian philosophy, and it has nowhere been mentioned in the passage. That is also there. So answer is B there. Now let us look at this passage. This urge to action, this desire to experience life through action has influenced all my thoughts and activity. The author is really about action. Author is action oriented. That is what is being established in the passage. Even sustained thinking, apart from being itself a kind of action, becomes part of action to come. The author is saying that thinking, if you think that thinking is passive, it is not so. Sustained thinking is itself an action, and apart from itself being an action, it becomes part of action to come. So sustained thinking leads to future action. That is what the author is saying. Okay, it is something that is not entirely abstract, in the void, unrelated to action and life. It is not in the void. Thinking is happening not in void but in action and life. The past becomes something that leads up to the present, the moment of action, and the future something that flows from it. So there is past, there is present, there is future, and the thinking is connecting all those things. All the three are inextricably intertwined and interrelated. Past, present and future all are inextricably interlinked, intertwined, interrelated. Why? Because of the thinking. Most logical rational inference, thinking is not static but a wide action. Yes, thinking is not static, that is okay. But the question is most logical rational inference. So we will read all the other options as well. Humans have natural urge to experience life and urge to act. The passage is not about humans. Passage is about author himself. In the passage, the author says that I have urge to act. I have urge to experience life. It is not, our passage is not talking about humans in general. See, we are the product of past, and what we think and do in the present will decide our future. In general, this is true. But let us read the option number D. Inextricable intertwined nature of past, present and the future is natural consequences of human capacity to think. This is the option which really captures the essence of the passage, that human capacity to think is related to all this intertwined nature of past, present and future. That is the common thread that connects past to the present to the future. Human capacity to think. So while C is also right, A is also right to the extent, but D is the option that is most logical rational inference. Sometimes in UPSC there are multiple options which seem correct, and everyone will keep fighting on which is the most appropriate or the right answer. but whatever UPSC ultimately gives would be the right answer. In this case, I think D is the right answer, because it really connects entire passage and it connects thinking to the intertwined nature of past, present and future. Okay, let's come back to our arithmetic. Arithmetic is the most important chapter, because around 12 to 15 questions from arithmetic only are getting asked, and from quant in total 20 questions at least are getting asked, 22 questions. Okay, so look at this question, it is very easy. You just have to write this 6n square plus 12n is equal to 6n into n plus 2, right? That is what you have to write. First statement, this will always be divisible by 6, definitely there is 6 as a factor itself. Now this particular thing will always be divisible by 2, divisible by 12. Is this correct? 6 से तो है, 6 से है definitely. So if we get 2 out of this, then it will be divisible by 12, because 12 is equal to 2 into 6 is equal to 2 square into 3. This number is definitely divisible by 3 because there is 6 here. This number is divisible by 4 square or not, that is the only concern. This is the prime factorization of 12. Out of 4 square, this is definitely divisible by 2. The question only is this particular thing always divisible by 2 or not? If n is odd, then this is also odd, then it is not divisible by 2. If n is even, this is also even, then this is divisible by 2. So there is possibility that these two numbers are odd, that is why this is not always true. And 18 is, what is 18? 2 into 3 square, right? So this is divisible by 2, yes. It is divisible by 3 once, yes. But it is always divisible by 3? No, n into n plus 2 may or may not be divisible by 3. It could be like 2, 3, 4, 2 and 4, 2 into 4 into 6. Is it divisible by 3? No. It is not divisible by 9, divisible by only 3. This is not divisible by 3, that is the thing. So this is also not true. All you need is to factorize this thing. Answer here is B. Okay. Okay, this particular question is on LCM. These are 4 UPSC aspirants. They decide to write an essay at pre-decided interval of time. See, essay is very important. You should definitely write one essay every 15 days. It is a 250 marks paper, and you won't automatically be good at essays. You need practice to write a relevant essay for 10 to 12 pages. I always discuss this with my students, that essay is something that you should not ignore and must not ignore. Essay is a paper that is getting very philosophical, but it is a one paper where you are getting successfully 140-150 marks every year. In no other GS paper can you score those kind of marks. It is a 250 marks paper. You should give it due weightage. Anyway, let us come back. And in my class as well, I tell a lot of stories, how to use those stories in the essays, from lives of mathematicians in general as well. Like we have also discussed few essays in the class. Anyway, coming back to this, Omkar writes essays every alternate Sunday, so every 14 days. Anup writes essay every 10 days, okay. Sujit writes essay every 20 days, okay. And Neil writes essay at the interval of 3 weeks, so 21 days. If they start on 1st January 2022, when will they be writing the essay on the same day again? This is question on LCM. This is Omkar will write in the multiples of 14, so 1st, then 15th, etc. in the interval of 14 days. All others would be writing at these particular intervals. So we want to find out when would they write again. So we want to find a common multiple of all these numbers, or the least common multiple of all these numbers. All the common multiples would be then multiple of that particular least common multiple. So what is the LCM? just write down prime factorization. So you have 10 is equal to 2 into 5, 14 is equal to 2 into 7, you have 20 is equal to 2 square into 5, and you have 21 is equal to 3 into 7. So LCM is equal to 2 square into 3 into 5 into 7, which is 420. You take a factor, you take this, see what is maximum power it is appearing, and you write that the LCM. That is how LCM can be found out from prime factorization. Very easy है. यहाँ पे 2 आ रहा है कहीं पे भी. Yes. What is the maximum power? 2. So I write 2 square. Is the 3 coming? Yes. I write 3. Is the 5 coming? Yes. Only 1 power. 5. 7. Yes. 7. This is the LCM. So after 420 days, they will write again. They are writing on 1st January 2022. So 420 days, मतलब 365 ये है उस 2022 के डेज प्लस 31 जनवरी के है प्लस 24 फरवरी के है. दैट कम्स आउट टू बी 420. So answer is 24th February 2023. This is something you can calculate. This is the idea. 420 days you have to go ahead from 1st January 2022. Okay. Next question. This is also very interesting question. This is this small b that starts traveling. This is A, this is point B. B starts traveling from A, goes to here, comes back, goes to then midpoint, comes back, goes to this midpoint of this particular 2 point, comes back, etc. So then this is 2 kilometer, right? So B goes 2 kilometers, comes back 2 kilometers, right? So we have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, then 1 kilometer, comes back 1 kilometer, plus 1, then goes half kilometer, comes back half kilometer, plus 1 by 2, plus 1 by 2, plus 1 by 4, plus 1 by 4, plus so on. This is the distance which the B travels. What is this? This is 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 plus so on. This is a geometric series, geometric progression, and sum of GP, you can see sum of GP is A r raised to, sum of infinite GP is first element is 4, common ratio A is 4, common ratio is 1 by 2. So sum is A into 1 upon 1 minus R, which is A into 1 upon 1 minus 2 is 1 by 2 is equal to 8. This is sum of infinite GP. Answer here is 8 kilometer. Even though B travels infinitely many times, the distance it travels is finite because it reduces at a very fast rate. Okay, this is also very interesting question. A clock is set right at 8 AM and the clock loses 30 minutes in 24 hours. So in 24 hours, when 24 hours passed, the clock actually shows 23.5 hours have passed. The question is, what will be the true time when the clock indicates 8 PM on the third day? 8 PM in the slow clock. Okay, so how much time has passed from this 8 AM to 8 PM on the third day? 60 hours. So if the real clock has passed 25 hours in the real clock, the fake clock or the slow clock, in the slow clock actually 23.5 hours have passed. So when 60 hours have passed in the slow clock, how many hours have passed in the actually real clock? This is the question. If this is x, what would be the x? X is equal to 60 divided by 23.5 into 24. This is the answer. This is x, which comes out to be something like 120 into 24 divided by 47, right? just calculate it. Approximately it comes out to be 61.3 if I am not wrong, around this. So 1.3 hours, 1.3 hours is around 60, 1.3 hours after 60. So 1 hour plus 0.3 hours is 18 minutes. So answer is here 9:18. This is how you have to calculate. If you want further explanation, let me know. I know I'm going very quickly, but I have to cover entire paper. That is why I have to go quickly. No question here. Okay, this is very simple puzzle kind of thing. One rabbit is going to reverse. It saw 48 legs of elephants. Elephant has 4 legs. So one rabbit is there. One rabbit is there. It saw 48 legs of elephants. So there are 12 elephants, and every elephant saw 12 lion legs. 12 lion legs is 3 lions, but there are 12 elephants. Now the thing is, all the 12 elephants can see 3 lions, and all of them would see 12 lion legs. It does not require each elephant is looking somewhere else and looking 3 independent lions. There are only 3 lions and they have 12 legs, and every elephant can see those 3 legs, 4 legs, 12 legs, sorry. So there are only 3 lions and they have 3 tortoises in their mouths. So in total there are 19 animals. This is the answer. The trick only was that every elephant is not seeing different lions, they are seeing the same lion. Puzzles are getting asked sometimes, that is why I asked that particular question. Okay. Now let us look at this. What is the value of this? I know you must have gotten afraid, but just forget about the numbers. Let's just write them as a and b. The expression really is a plus b square plus a minus b square divided by a square plus b square. That is the expression. And if you simplify this, what is this? This is a square plus 2ab plus b square. This is a square minus 2ab plus b square. And in addition, this gets cancelled. A square plus a square, b square plus b square. This is 2 times a square plus b square divided by a square plus b square. It just gets cancelled. Answer here is 2. Just you don't have to get afraid or put off by this particular expression. Otherwise, it is very, very easy. Okay, let's look at this particular question. This particular 8 by 8 by 8 cube is cut into smaller pieces of 2 by 2 by 2. One pair of opposite faces is colored red and other is colored blue, and the rest of the faces were left uncolored. If this is the cube, okay, 2 faces are colored red. So for example, let us say this and this is colored red. This and this, if let's say colored is blue, and upper face and down face are left uncolored. Question is, what is the number of smaller cubes having at least 2 faces colored? So for 2 faces colored, this is uncolored, this is uncolored. So those cubes have to be on this particular boundary for two colors, here or there or here, right? So only these corner things, there are 4 corners, here only we will have 2 colors. So what is the number? 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, answer is 16. Simple. Question. Let's again look at the passage. This is from the speech of Firoz Shah Mehta. Question is, passage says, our European friends are disposed to rebuke us for our obstreperousness if we make bold to express our opinion on this bill in this public meeting. our European friends will rebuke us if we express our opinions about this bill. That is what the author is saying. They are just as ready to take advantage of us on the score of our indifference if we sit quiet without blowing the feeblest counterblast to the incessant sounding of trumpets and clashing of cymbals, which is kept up even now all over the country to frighten away this poor little bill. So, what our European friends are doing? If we don't express our opinion, they will rebuke us. If we express our opinions, they will rebuke us. If we don't, they will take advantage of our indifference and pass the bill the way they want to be, without even blowing the feeblest counterblast to the incessant sounding of trumpets and clashing, which even now all over the country to frighten away this poor little bill. They will just frighten away this bill and do what they want to do. That is the passage. I know the language is little bit on the difficult side, but it is what it is. Sometimes the difficult language can get asked. We must be ready. Question: which of the following follows from the passage? The question is simple. You can even answer this without the passage from your logical experience as well. A. Europeans rebuke Indians for no ostensible reason. Is that the message of the passage? No. B. If we don't raise the voice for our interest, they will be ignored. This is the passage. This is what author has been concerned about. We need to raise our interest. We need to speak up. If we don't, they will just ignore us and they will do what we want. If we express our opinion, they will rebuke us, yes. But if we don't, they will just roll through what they want to do. See, European crushed any dissent with severe force. That is not there in the passage. Europeans brought modern laws to Indians. That is also not there in the passage. Answer is here B. There is also something called as doctrine of laches that Supreme Court follows to decide few cases. It means that those who slumber on their rights do not get their rights honored. This is the same thing. Now, in this passage, the author was talking about state of Kerala and its fiscal status. You read the passage, this is not that difficult. Only we'll deal with the second question. First question, which of the following would author agree with most? Debt in the economy is the prime issue for economy. In the first statement, it says that debt is not a sin. It becomes problem and it becomes unsustainable. So, debt is not a sin. It means debt in itself is not a problem. Unsustainable debt is a problem. So, this statement is wrong because debt is not one of the prime problems. Unsustainable debt is a problem. B. Kerala breaching fiscal norms is not an unusual thing for an Indian state. Of course, it is unusual. There are only two, three states which are breaching those fiscal norms. So, this is also not true. Statement D is one of the three. Kerala is one of the three states on the path of sustainable debt dynamics. No, Kerala is not on the path of sustainable debt dynamics along with two other states. Those are mentioned there. So, answer here is D. It is again directly mentioned that Doma stability rule is there and Kerala is breaking that, which is not good. And it shows unsustainable debt dynamics. Let's look at this. Consider following indicators. Which of the above indicators indicate worsening fiscal situation when decreasing? Okay. Here indicator decrease हो रहा है. If these indicators are decreasing, it shows worsening situation, fiscal situation. First, debt to GDP ratio. If debt to GDP ratio is decreasing, it means fiscal situation is increasing. We know that from our prior knowledge as well. So, this is definitely not true. So, you already have answer. 2. Incremental borrowing by the government is decreasing, but there is still borrowing. अगर borrowing हो रहा है, even if the rate of borrowing is decreasing, if borrowing is still happening, it still means fiscal situation is worsening. And 4th, GDP growth rate minus interest rate. If this is decreasing, it means either GDP rate is decreasing or interest rate is increasing. Both are bad. Both are showing worsening fiscal situation. So, answer here is C. Okay, let's look at this passage. Economists forecast do not compute effect on social condition and domestic politics on economic policies. strategic thinkers in Shell Oil Company using methods of scenario planning had forecasted collapse of USSR and integration of Russian economy with the West. That had already been predicted using scenario planning by this Shell Oil Company. Okay. Shell redirected billions of dollars of investment beforehand and gained strategic advantage over its competition because they could gauge these things to happen. They could manage it well using scenario planning. They did all this and they were at the strategic advantage. Responding to members' needs, WEF, World Economic Forum, commissioned scenario planning exercise for the BRICS countries in 2004. They collaborated with CII to prepare scenarios for India's growth because CII had supported similar exercise internally in 2000 and knew the methods of scenario planning. So, first is case study of Shell Oil Company, wherein they benefited a lot by using these methods of scenario planning. In the second part of the passage, it says that WEF has commissioned this particular scenario planning study for BRICS, future of BRICS, and they have partnered with CII. Why? Because CII had prior experience of scenario planning. Question: which of the following can be concluded about the scenario planning from the passage? A. It is a strategic planning method that some organization use to make flexible long-term plans. This is the definition of scenario planning, but it is not there in the passage. So, this is not there in the passage at all. In passage question, you have to stick to the passage. You can't just use your knowledge, prior knowledge just like that without paying heed to the passage. So, this is not correct. B. Scenario planning is a foolproof forecast, unlike usual economic forecasts. No, it is not foolproof. It is also scenario planning. You are planning for scenarios. You are just predicting. Here as well there is error. There is no statistical method or economic method which is foolproof. C. CIL is the official agency that conducts scenario planning in India. It is no official agency. It is just, it had prior experience, that's why they were partnered with. In general, there is no official agency in India for such an exercise. And D. It has helped many avoiding ill effects of crisis. Yes, Shell Oil Company ka example hai. We are given case studies. Okay. Now, let us come to questions again. A 4-member class debate team is to be selected in a class from a class of 60. 10 students, 7 boys, 3 girls are known to be equally good debaters. In how many ways can the team be selected if the competition requires presence of at least one girl in the team? ये जो at least वाले question होते हैं ना, in this we usually prefer removing the options where there is no girl. That is the thing we prefer. So in general, how many teams can be formed? There are 7 boys and 3 girls. So there are 10 students and we want to form team of 4. So we can form 10C4 teams. In general, without paying heed to who is boy, who is girl in the team, in general we can form those many teams. And in how many teams can there be no girl? When the team is all boys team. Otherwise there will always be girl. So all boys team. So out of 7 boys we select 4 boys. 7C4. This is the answer. These are the total number of teams and we are removing all boys team. So this is 10C4. Out of 10 students we are selecting 4. And these are the teams where only boys are there. So 7C4. There are only 7 boys and we are selecting team of 4. So this is the answer. It comes out to be, this is 210. This is, I think, 35 if I am not wrong, or 25. Check, but answer is 185. I think answer is this only. Yes, answer is 185. Next question, in a mega open test arranged by LevelUp IAS, participants were given 3 choices to select from areas which they would like to answer questions. Participants were 880, 224 chose this. So data is given about 3 things. Okay. So it is a Venn diagram question. Venn diagram is something like this. There are 3 things. Okay. And you have to simply fill the data but only my suggestion is start from the middle part. So in the middle there are 24 students. Here there are 24 students. right? Comprehension, quantitative aptitude and LR, na? 3 sections are there. Now both pe jao. 64 chose both quantitative and logical reasoning. So this is 64. Out of this 24 is here. So here is 40. 40 plus 64 is 24. Similarly, find out how many are there. Find out how many are there. And from the outer thing, find out how many are here, how many are here, how many are. And 850 minus number of people inside is here. Whatever that number is, x, that divide this by 880 and multiply it by 100. That is the percentage. I hope you can do this. It is not difficult question. Answer is B. Okay, question. All the 50 students in class are standing in a row as per increasing height. What is the rank of Garima in this line from the front? There are students who are standing according to their height, from smallest to tallest, from least tall to most tall. Okay. Statement number 1. There are 5 students between Garima and Sai. So there is Garima, Sai, Garima, Sai. There are 5 students. It could be Sai, Garima as well. And there are few people in front, few people in the back. This could be 2 situations, and here are 5 people. That is only information that is given. Can you find out rank of Garima? No, definitely not. Definitely not. You don't know where they stand. Okay. Statement number 2. Garima is not as tall as Sai. Okay. Garima is shorter than Sai, and who is Sai is 6th tallest. 6th tallest means you know Sai ka rank. Sai is 6th tallest. Right? So there are 5 people behind Sai. There are 5 people between Garima and Sai. So Garima is here. Now do you know how many people are here? Yes, there are 50 students in total. So you can find out how many people are standing in front of Garima, and thus you can find out Garima's rank. Statement 2. Alone is enough or not? Alone is enough or not? Alone is not enough. Statement 1 and 2 are together are enough. Alone is definitely not enough. Right? There are 5 students between them. That information is also you need. Otherwise, you don't know where Garima is in front of Sai. Answer is C here. Both statements are enough to sufficient to answer the question. Okay. Next question देखो. Virat and Anushka are standing in a row of persons. Virat is 15 from the left, Anushka is 34 from the right. Okay. So we are having, here is Virat, here is Anushka. There could be some people in between. Okay. So Virat is 15 from the left, so there are 14 people in the left towards his left. Anushka is 34 from right, so here are 33 people. Okay. Now their positions are interchanged. It becomes Anushka, here comes Virat. All others are remaining same. Now Virat becomes 18 from the left. So now towards the left of Virat, there are 17 people. He becomes 18 from the left. What's the total number of persons standing in a row? Now what do we have? We know much more information about Virat. Virat ka position yahan pe hai. So there are 17 people towards his left. How many people are towards his right? Same number of people, because only Virat and Anushka's position have been interchanged. Now we have converted entire problem into only Virat ka problem, where Virat is 34th from the right, and there are the 18 from the left. So there are 17 people to the left, 33 to the right. So how many people in their line are total? 33 plus 17, 50 plus Virat. So there are 51 people in the row. Very simple. Okay. We only used Anushka ka position earlier to from the right is now Virat's position from the right. That is the information we used. Okay, this is time and work question, pretty much standardized question. It may look little bit difficult to you, but it is really not difficult if you get hang of the topic. In work and time problems, all we are concerned about is how much time is getting finished in one particular day. Now look at this, A and B together complete certain work in 20 days. Now we say that let A, we always start with A, B, C, let A does work in A days, B does in B days, C does in C days. So in one day A will do 1 by A work, in one day B will do 1 by B work, in one day C will do 1 by C work, because in A days it is A is finishing total work, in one day A will finish 1 by A work. That is the thing. Now let's come back to question. A and B together complete work in 20 days. So 1 by A plus 1 by B is 1 by 20. A and B are working together. If they work together, they will finish 1 by 20 work in per day. So that is why they will finish 20 in whole work in 20 days. Similarly, B and C finish the work in 12 days. 1 by B plus 1 by C is equal to 1 by 12. All of them together finish the work in 10 days. So 1 by A plus 1 by B plus 1 by C is equal to 1 by 10. Now all of them start the work and work for 2 days. Then B leaves. So we want to find out about information about A and C. Can we find out? Yes. What can we do? We use a little bit of symmetry. We say 1 by A plus 1 by C is equal to, let us say, 1 by K, and we add these three things. What do we get? 2 times 1 by A plus 1 by B plus 1 by C is equal to this plus this plus this, 1 by 20 plus 1 by 12 plus 1 by K, right? What is this? This is 1 by 10. 1 by 10 into 2 is 1 by 5. So this is equal to 1 by 5. Here, from here you can find out 1 by K. 1 by K is equal to 1 by 5 minus 1 by 20 minus 1 by 12. It turns out to be, can you calculate? This is 4 by 60 is equal to 1 by 15. 1 by 15 is the answer, 1 by K ka. Now, so A and C together finish the work in 15 days. Now let's come back to question. All of them start the work and they work together for 2 days. They will finish the entire work in 10 days. So in 2 days, 1/5 of work they have already done. So how much work remaining? 4/5 of work is remaining. 1/5 is done in 2 days. Now A and C are only working together. Entire work A and C will do in 15 days. So for 4/5 of work, how much time will it take? Entire work in 15 days. How much time will it take them for doing 4/5 of work? It is simply 15 into 4 by 5, which is 12 days. So 12 days A and C are working, and 2 days already together they have worked. So entire, in total, 14 days of work has been done. I know this is little bit of calculation, there is calculation involved, but this was pretty much standard question from work and time chapter. We have done many of these questions in class and in the worksheet as well. Okay, let us look at this question. Question is, what is x? Statement number 1, x is the smallest non-negative integer. Integers, let's just write down integers. Integers are like minus this side, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2 and so on. What is non-negative integer? Negative hata do. These are non-negative integers. What is smallest non-negative? X is smallest non-negative integer. So answer is there. Unique answer is there. It is 0. Okay. Statement number 2. Statement 1 is giving us answer. Now you have to check for statement 2. X is smallest non-positive integer. Non-positive means 0 is neither negative nor positive. Huh? You have to remember that. Non-positive means these integers. What is smallest large positive integers? You can't find out. It goes to minus infinity. So as small as you want, you can get integers, and you can't find out smallest positive integer. Largest you can. Largest non-positive integers is 0, but smallest you can't find out. So answer is statement 1 alone is sufficient. Answer question number 50 ka A. Okay. Again we have come back to passages. This is about Delhi's air quality. Let's read it. Every year, like clockwork, Delhi's air quality makes it to the headlines. Of course, there is a problem. You would have noticed that the noise on TV channels and even newspapers over the issue dies down after one strong wind speed day. Ek din, even for a single day, strong winds come, it takes away all the pollution and the headlines die out because pollution reduces drastically in that particular day. And it blows the debate away. Next winter, we are back to expressing outrage again. Now, next winter, we are back. Next winter, again, there will be same debates, there will be same issues, same solutions, etc., etc. As the haze descends over Delhi, the blame game begins. Of course, the blame game of Delhi government, of MCD, Punjab government, Haryana government, central government, UP government, all of them would blame each other. With the stubble burning in the neighboring states being identified as the main culprit. Politics happens on that issue only. Other issues get ignored. However, the reality is that Delhi's air is bad even when the stubble is not being burnt. That is the reality. Delhi's air is bad as it is. As it is true for all other metro cities. Air is already bad. So stubble burning just add to the worst, add to the crisis. As firefighters, we are doing well, but as planners, we are doing very little. Firefighters, when the crisis occurs, we do all kinds of things. Shut down schools, shut down colleges, shut down factories, ask people to work from home, wear masks, etc. Odd even, all the things we are able to do as firefighters. So crisis situation aata hai, then we can fight. But as a planners, we are not doing well. Question. Which of the following is the critical message of the passage? What is the author trying to convey? What is the message that author is trying to give us? First, lack of continuous winds is the main cause of Delhi pollution. Is that the message? No, this is just one statement. B, we lack policy to deal with air pollution issue of Delhi. Do we lack policy? Nowhere the author is mentioning that there is lack of policy or something. Author is just saying that policy making, we lack in policy making, but we are good firefighters, we are not good policy makers. It does not mean there is no policy. Of course there is policy, there is NCAP, you know that. C, political blame games in pollution issue are both unnecessary and counterproductive. That is true, but that is not the main message of passage. D, air pollution needs attention throughout the year and not only in the crisis situation. This is the crux of the passage. This is the main message that author is trying to give from the beginning. That please don't just try to discuss it when the haze descends on Delhi, and please let's discuss this continuously and work on it continuously throughout the year. Okay. Next passage. Poor countries are poor because they are hot, infertile, malaria infested and often landlocked. These are the identifiers. These are the main issues that author has highlighted in why these countries are poor. This makes it hard for them to be productive without an initial large investment to help them to deal with endemic problems. There will be endemic problems. So where would they get money from? They need some external investment, initial large external investment to bootstart their cycle of growth. But they cannot pay for the investment precisely because they are poor. But ऐसा नहीं है कि you give them loans because they can't pay you back. They don't have anything. They are in the economics, what economists call a poverty trap. Okay, they are in the poverty trap. Until something is done about these problems, neither free markets nor democracy will do very much for them. So I agree. The author is saying that even free markets, even the good things like free market or democracy can do anything for them until these basic endemic problems are resolved. This is why foreign aid is the key. This is why you need foreign aid that can kickstart a virtuous cycle by helping poor countries invest in these critical areas and make them more productive. The resulting higher incomes will generate further investment and the beneficial spiral will continue. So initially you need to give foreign aid, not loan, then it will kickstart the investment. So these countries will then invest in the endemic problems. Once they get resolved, then it will kickstart everything, that is beneficial cycle. So question is assumptions. Assumption is what is implicit in the passage, what is there in the author's mind, what are the assumptions that author has made before writing the passage. Democracy and free market are good for society. Yes, that is said by the author. Na? Even democracies and free markets can't help. Matlab means author is assuming that they are good things. That is implicit, but even they can't help. B, second statement, poverty elevation depends on factors beyond region as well. Yes, it depends on the foreign aid. That is the point of the passage. Otherwise, countries will remain in poverty trap. 3, access to oceanic route opens up large number of opportunities for the country. Yes, being landlocked was one of the identifiers of the poor country. Na? That was one of the hindrances of poor countries. So, correct is option number D. Okay, let's see the next passage. Facts are not always what they appear to be, but are often what they are perceived to be. The author is saying that facts are not always facts, but facts are perception. Thus, the truth is not supreme in affairs of state and is often hidden within the bundle of lies, half-truths and innuendos. So, in the state affairs, this passage has been picked up from one of the books by Rob Chiefs, I think Attendant Lords or something. But yeah, the author, no, I don't remember the name of the book, but it is written by one of the Raw Chiefs. So he is talking about state affairs. State affairs, in the affairs of the state, truth is not supreme, and it is often hidden in the half-truths, innuendos or lies, bundle of lies. Instead, perception built on narratives become the accepted truth. Perception becomes the truth. It is how you want others to perceive you. That's how you send the messages. That's how you talk. That's what happens in the affairs of the state. Okay, over time we become embodiment of our own perceptions, prejudices, hates and dislikes, as well as our own nationalisms that often border on narcissistic beliefs. What the author is saying that over the time we start believing in our perceptions as truths. Then prejudices, hates, dislikes, etc. that seeps into us and we become that only. And our own nationalisms that often border on narcissistic beliefs. Nationalism bordering on narcissism. Narcissism is only we are great or only I am great. Nationalism that borders narcissistic beliefs. Unlike scientific facts or mathematical equations which are sacrosanct until proven otherwise, political facts, historical facts and ideas are malleable. Malleable is changeable. Perception can be changed. These mathematical or scientific facts that cannot be changed, you have to prove them wrong. But these things, you don't have to prove them wrong. You just have to change them. Malleable, malleable as in changeable. So slowly you can change them. Perception. Okay, inference. What is the inference of the passage? Citizens are manipulated by politicians using half-truths. This passage is not talking about citizens being manipulated. All humans become narcissistic with constant propaganda. That is not the thing. Anyway, this is all is extreme statement, right? All is an extreme statement. See, truths can be changed as per geopolitical convenience. Of course, that is what the passage is talking about. In the affairs of the state, truths are malleable, facts are malleable. You can change them. Truth is often hidden in lies, half-truths. That's what author was saying, innuendos. So, truths can be changed as per geopolitical convenience. That is true. Nationalism needs to be balanced with humility and fact check. The author is only stating facts. The author is not trying to tell you what to do now. Author is not saying that humility bhi hona chahiye, fact check bhi hona chahiye. Author is just saying sometimes our perception overpowers us and our nationalism turns into borders narcissism. That is what author is saying. Author is not saying that humility is something that you should pursue, or yeah, fact check is something that you should pursue to balance the nationalism. That is not what author is concerned about. Author is only about this thing. Okay, next question. What is x in this series? The series is basically 1 cube minus 1 square, 2 cube minus 2 square, and so on. So here is 5 cube minus 5 square, and x is equal to 6 cube minus 6 square, which is 180. Answer is D. Again, let's look at this question. Very easy question. Counting principle से आता है. In the 2022 CSE, lot of questions on counting principle were asked. So this is also very simple question based on the same thing. Locksmith has designed a special clock. Each clock has combination of 4 things. There are 4 things. Okay. There is a non-zero digit. Non-zero digits 1 to 9. Okay. Vowel. There are 5 vowels: A, E, I, O, U, and they're followed by a consonant. Consonants are 21. Consonant plus vowel become whole, your alphabet. And a non-zero digit that has not been used already. So it is a non-zero digit, but it is not been used here. So how many ways are there? Simple multiplication principle. There are 9 choices for this, and there are 5 choices for this, and there are 21 choices for this, and there are 8 choices for this, because you cannot use whatever is being used here. You just have to multiply these things and the answer is there. Answer I think here is B. Okay. This question was to be left alone. This is a very difficult question. I was not expecting anyone to attempt or answer. This was only asked so that you should be realizing which question not to attempt. That was this question. Anyway, let me tell you how to solve this. This is an exam. 80 questions are there, plus 2.5 and 1/3 would be deducted. This is like your CSAT paper only. So unattempted question do not fetch any penalty. That is okay. So Balbir attempted 30 questions accurately. Okay, 30 accurately. 20 questions 60% certain, 20 questions 40% certain, and his accuracy turned out to be exactly what he had hoped. So out of this 20 questions, 60% he got correct. So 12 he got correct. Out of these 28 he got correct. So correct he got 50 questions correct, and attempted so far is 70. So 20 he got wrong. Right? Fine. So how much marks does he have now? 50 into 2.5 minus 20 into 2.5 by 3. Okay. So this is 125, and this is what is this? 50 by 3. Okay, so this is 125 minus 50 by 3. Okay, now let us read the question. In how many ways could he get 110 marks if he attempts few more questions? Now there are 10 questions that are not discussed in the question. Out of 80, 70 are here, 10 are remaining. The question says how many ways could he get 110 marks if he attempts few more questions. Now from 70 to 80 there are 10 questions. How many of them he should attempt to get, how many ways are there to get him exactly 110 marks? By the way, none of you have got 110 marks, and you should really be worried about it now. Okay. So we want to get 210 marks. Right now we have this many marks. So let us say that he attempts X questions correctly and he leaves Y question unattempted. Fine. To get to 110, how many more marks he needs? That is, let's calculate that. This is less than 110. So he needs 110 minus 125 plus 50 by 3 marks, which is basically 5 by 3. He just needs 5 by 3 marks out of these 10 questions. let me write it here only. Let us say he gets x correct, na? So he get 2.5 my x marks out of x correct, and his marks will be deduced for wrong. 2.5 by 3 into 10 minus x, which is correct attempt, minus unattempted. These are wrong attempts. This is equal to 5 by 3. This is the equation. And you want to find out how many values of such x and y are possible. Let us simplify this. This is 2.5x. Let's just multiply everything by 3. So we have 7.5x plus 2.5x. So 10x minus this 25 minus 25 plus 2.5 y is equal to 5, right? So we have 10x plus 2.5 is equal to 30. Now let us say x is 1, then y is, we want to find out integer solution. X and y are number of questions, so we can't have non-integer solution. Let us use the values. X is equal to 1, then y should be 20 by 2.5, so 8. X and y, x is equal to 1, y is equal to 8 is acceptable. X is equal to 2, then this is 20, 10 by 4. So this is x is equal to 2, y is equal to 4 is acceptable. What else? X is equal to 3, y is equal to 0. This is acceptable. This is acceptable. X is equal to 4, y goes negative. Negative is not possible. So these are the only 3 options for x and y. So option number 3. I know this is a difficult question, so you might as well have left it, but now you should know how to do it. Simple question. How many options are filling the gaps? Just have to decode the pattern. Pattern usually is in the repetitions of 4, 5 or 6. So here it is a pattern of 6. Pattern is A, B, B, A, C, sorry. A, C, B, B, C. Then B, B, D, C, C, D, and so on. This is the pattern. You can say that, you can see, this is, you have to break it as at 6, and then you can identify. So first is A, then A, so here it is B, so last is D, so last could be what, so that is what you have to figure out looking at the pattern. Again, not a very difficult question. Now this is a very interesting question. 819, you have to divide these numbers by 819, but you would be not, it is not possible to actually divide by 819. So you have to write 819 as 3 square into, I think 7 into 3 square into 7 into 13. So number would be divisible by 819 if it is divisible by 9 and 17 and 13. So if you find a number that is divisible by any of this, then it is divisible by, then you cannot conclude. So you have to look, you have to divide these numbers by these particular numbers and see how many are divisible by 819 and how many are not. Out of this, you can easily see that this is clearly divisible by 819. 819 into 3 is this. So this is clearly not. ये भी देख सकते हो. Then this is not divisible by 9. So this is not divisible by 819. This is there. This is not divisible by 819. This is not divisible by 819. Then divisibility of 9, you know na, divisibility of 9 is sum of digits should not be divisible by 9. So this is 6, this is 18. So this is divisible by 9. This is divisible by 9. This is not divisible by 9. So just have to check if these are divisible by 7 and 13 and you are through. This is the short thing. You can write a number in its prime factorization, and the number, whatever the number we are talking about, A, A is divisible by 819 only if A is divisible by all its prime factors with respective powers. Okay. So if A is divisible by 3 square, A is divisible by 7 and A is divisible by 13, then A is divisible by 819. Okay. Then and only then. It is if and only if statement. Answer here is 3. ये क्वेश्चन देख लो. प्राइवेट MBA colleges have increased tuition fee in the current year by 100%. One, statement number 1, and statement number 2, government colleges have not increased the fee in spite of inflation. हमें cause and effect relationship बताना है. Statement 1 is the cause, 2 is the effect. ये तो नहीं होगा, प्राइवेट ने इंक्रीज किया तो गवर्नमेंट ने इंक्रीज नहीं किया, ये एक दूसरे का कॉस्ट तो नहीं है. 2 is the cost, 1 is the effect, ये भी गलत है. कोई रिलेशन ही नहीं है उन दोनों में. प्राइवेट ने क्योंकि किया है इंक्रीज, गवर्नमेंट ने नहीं किया है, गवर्नमेंट हैज नॉट इंक्रीज्ड. सी 1 and 2 are effect of independent causes or effect of common causes. What common cause का effect कब हो सकता है? When the price है both of the, what could be a common cause? You think na, motivation of the private players would be to get profit. Motivation of government could be anything. They could be to ensure accessibility of education. They could be to ensure that education remains affordable, etc., etc. Government could have different motivation or cause to not increase fee, and private could have different cause or motivation to increase the fee. So they are basically two independent causes. They are not dependent या फिर same cause. Answer is C. Now this is a very simple question, but you need to. This is again one of the. I have extended the one of the previously asked questions. Question is, how many 9-digit numbers that are not divisible by 9 can be formed out of all the non-zero digits without repetition? What are all the non-zero digits? 1, 2, up to 9. Without repetition, we have to form the numbers, 9-digit numbers. Now, of course, I don't expect you to find all those numbers, but what can you do? Question is about divisibility by 9. What is the divisibility of 9? What is the test for divisibility of 9? Number is divisible by 9 when sum of its digits is divisible by 9. And you have to use all these digits. You have to find 9-digit numbers only. So question, firstly find out what is sum of the digits. For any digit, any number would be one of these, na? 1, 2, 3, 9. That could be one number. Then 3, 2, 1, 4, 9, 7, 8. ऐसा कुछ number होगा. यही in some order, only these digits would be repeating. That is what we mean by finding digits without repetition, right? These digits are only being used. So these are different possible numbers. Now, how many of these are divisible by 9? We just have to find out sum of digits. Sum of digits क्या होगा? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus up to 9. All of the numbers that are formed from these digits would have same sum of digits, because only these digits are being used. It is 45. Is it divisible by 9? Yes. So none of these numbers would be not divisible by 9. All of them would be divisible by 9, and that is why answer is 0. Previously question has been asked, how many of the 5-digit numbers can be formed from digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 which are not divisible by 3. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 becomes 15, which is divisible by 3. So there is no possible number of no such possible number which is not divisible by 3. The same concept is here. All of these numbers which are being formed from these digits would be divisible by 9 because sum of the digits is 45. So the answer is 0. Okay. Fine. This passage is taken from Bhagat Singh's famous book, Why I Am an Atheist. Let's just read it. My previous faith and convictions underwent remarkable modification. So author is at the outset saying that I am changed person. I have changed my convictions and faith. The romance of violent methods alone, which was so prominent amongst our predecessors, was replaced by serious ideas. So he is talking about his predecessors where violence alone was the romantic idea that has been shunned by us, and that has been replaced by serious ideas. We are not talking about serious ideas. No more mysticism, no more blind faith. Mysticism and blind faith, we have also given up on that. realism became our cult. We are not talking about idealistic things here. We are talking about realism. That is now our cult. Use of force is justifiable when resorted to as a matter of terrible necessity. In very, very extreme cases, only violence is justified. That is what Bhagat Singh is saying. Non-violence as a policy indispensable for all mass movements. Indispensable, you cannot have mass movement without non-violence. Indispensable is you just cannot do it without it. Without non-violence, no mass movement is possible. That is what Bhagat Singh is saying. Which of the following statement most accurately depicts author's philosophy towards violence? What is Bhagat Singh's philosophy towards violence according to the passage? A. Realism or idealism, and thus violence is justified if it attains good end. Is that what philosophy is? Primary philosophy? What does Bhagat Singh say? Realism is our cult, that is okay, but use of force is justified only when it is a matter of terrible necessity, not as a policy. So it is not when it attains good end. Good end कैसे decide करोगे? It is a terrible necessity that decides justification for violence, not good end. B. Violence blinds us to serious ideas. It is not necessarily said. It is said that we have replaced violence. We have given up violence as romantic idea, and we have replaced it with serious idea. Nowhere this equivalence has been made. C. Mystical blind faith hampered the mass participation. That is also not said anywhere in the passage or implied. Or this is neither. This is a violence. This is about violence. This is not about violence at all. The question is about what is your author's philosophy towards violence. And D. Non-violence is the only way for mass movement, and romanticism for violence needs to be shunned. That is what Bhagat Singh is saying in the end, that non-violence is indispensable to the mass movement. That is what he is talking about. Okay, next. This is again taken from one of the books. It is written by N. Ram, editor-in-chief of The Hindu. He is saying that there is no such thing as political corruption as self-contained category unless you are satisfied with the tautological definition that political corruption is involving politician and political rents. बोलता है कि political corruption is not standalone entity. Political corruption is not self-contained category. ऐसे अलग से कुछ नहीं है वो. This is not separate thing. Unless you are satisfied with this particular एकदम tautological, like simplistic definition that it is political corruption is corruption involving politicians and political rents. So this is just simplistic definition where if you are satisfied with that, okay, but author is clearly not. If the objective is to understand corruption in India and its pervasiveness, its omnipresence and its multifaciousness, so that something meaningful and effective can be done about it, necessarily in stages of course, it needs to be conceptualized and approached as a problem not just of politics or the economy or society, not to mention moral sphere, but of something. Let's first understand this. What is the author saying? If you really want to understand political corruption, which is all pervasive, everywhere, multifaceted, omnipresent, everywhere it is present, pervasive, it is always there, and multifariousness. So every nook and corner, in multiple avatars, you can say, in multiple forms it is present, so that something meaningful can be done about it. Of course, in stages we can do something about it. If we really understand it, we can talk about it, we can do something about it in stages. Then we want to approach it. It needs to be conceptualized and approached as a problem not just of politics. We cannot approach it as just problem of politics or society or economy or moral. We cannot just conceptualize such a problem as one of these things, but of the political economy in its complex, interdisciplinary and profounder sense. We have to discuss political corruption as this complex interdisciplinary concept. Which of the following statements represent correct regarding political corruption as per the passage? Of course, that is the question. A. Political corruption is not independent of society and economy. True, but let us see the other options. Political corruption in India is actually a moral corruption in essence. What does the author say? We cannot talk about this in standalone sense. It is not just moral corruption. It is definitely wrong. Political corruption is corruption involving politicians and their cronies. Of course, this is simplistic definition. This is not what author is talking about. D. Political corruption has extraordinary interlinkages with other fields. That is what author was talking about. There are extraordinary linkages and we have to talk about it in most complex interdisciplinary sense. So option number D is the correct one. Now read the passage. It is about RBI. Question is, which of the following assumptions have been made? And in the passage, in the initial stages itself, author is saying presumably RBI has been intervening in the market by selling its dollar from the exchange foreign exchange kitty to defend the rupee. That is statement of fact. And then author says presumably the effort is to prevent volatility but not target any specific rate. So that is presumably मतलब assume मैं assume कर रहा हूँ, तो author खुद ही बता रहा है वो क्या assume कर रहा है. So that is the answer here. By selling forex to contain exchange rate stability. That is the answer. You read the passage, you read the option, but here in this particular case, answer is in the passage itself, where presumably author himself is saying I am assuming this thing. Okay. Let us quickly finish it. When an article is sold for this particular thing, the owner loses 15%. Okay. Owner decides to sell it for 15% gain and he keeps X as MRP, then gives some discount. So there are few concepts here. One is selling price, one is cost price, one is mark price, and another is discount. All of them are used here. So let us say that costing price is X. Costing price CP, no, X is MRP. No? So costing price, let's just say it is a costing price. Sold for this particular price, then owner loses 15%. So costing price and there is selling price and 15% is loss. So we are saying CP costing price minus selling price divided by costing price into 100 is equal to 15% loss, and here selling price is given 18,700. So from here you can calculate costing price. Costing price turns out to be here 22,000. Okay, and from here you owner wants to gain 15% profit, right? What is 15% of 22,000? It is actually 3,300, right? So 3,300 profit he wants, so he wants to sell it at 25,300. This should be his new selling price, but this should be after giving discount. Discount is giving, he is giving 100,000 rupees, so his selling price is 26,300. This is the MRP. MRP is this. On this he gives 1,000 rupees discount, so this is his selling price. This is his costing price. He gains 15%, and earlier he was selling it at this price at 15% loss. So this is the way you solve this. You first have to find out costing price. Costing price you can find out also as 85% of costing price after giving after loss of 15%. So 85% of CP is equal to 18,700. That is also one way to solve. From here also you can find out CP. I am really sorry if you think that this is a little bit faster, but there is no other way to do this now. Okay, this is a probability question, very simple question. A bag contains 4 red, 6 green and 4 blue balls. 2 balls are drawn together at random. What is the probability that none of the balls drawn is blue? So we want ball to be either green or red, right? None of the ball is blue का मतलब है या तो green हो या तो red हो. So let's say if both balls are red, how many such choices are there? 4C2 plus both balls are green, or one ball is red, another ball is green. These are the multiple ways to do it. Out of total number of is 14, C2. This is the probability. What is the number of choices for this particular event to happen, and total sample space में elements. Sample space में there are this particularly So if you add this becomes 45 by 91. Very simple. Out of 4 you can choose 2, or you can choose 2 out of 6, or you can choose 1 red and 1 green. That is the answer. Okay. 5 persons are living on the different floors numbered 1 to 5 from bottom to top in the same building. Okay. Rohit and Virat are enemies and do not live on the consecutive floors. So there is at least one floor between Rohit and Virat. Okay. So Rohit and Virat are not living in the same consecutive floors. Fine. Hardik looks down upon all others when standing in the balcony. So Hardik is living on the top floor definitely. So Hardik is living here. He is looked down upon all others. Apparently Hardik is very arrogant. Okay. Rahul and Rohit live on the consecutive floors numbered 1 and 2. So here Rahul and Rohit live here. We don't know in which order. We only know Virat and Rohit में एक का gap होना चाहिए. Okay. Then Rahul, Rohit are here. Then we have Surya is the glue that holds this group together, and he lives in the middle. So Surya lives here. So Virat has to live here. Who lives in the floor number 1? Rahul or Rohit? We can't be sure. It could be any of them. All the other conditions are satisfied. Virat and Rohit में भी at least एक का gap तो रहेगा. So we can't be sure. So data is insufficient. Answer number, option number D. Okay. Fine. Now again, this is data interpretation question. This is just for your practice. UPSC has not asked DI for last 2-3 years, but still we should be ready, because earlier it used to be it was asked very frequently. Now there are these 6 persons. They are sitting along the circular table, all facing inwards. Okay. A and B neither sit together nor opposite to each other. So basically there are 6 persons around a circular table. So how can they sit? This. They will sit like this. Okay. A and B neither sit together nor opposite. So they would sit like this. They cannot sit together nor opposite. Fine. There is exactly one person between C and D. So C and D can come here or here or here. There are 3 options. Fine. E and F are neighbors. Oh, E and F would always come together. So if E and F, so basically C and D can't come here, because then E and F cannot come together. So C and D can be here or here. There are only 2 options, so that E and F can be here or here. C doesn't sit together with A. So C and D can't be here. So C and D have to be here. So here C and D would be here. E and F would be here. Okay. Now let's answer the question. Which of the following is definitely wrong? C and D. You can here also it can happen. Which of the following is definitely wrong? E is opposite to B. Okay. Is it possible? Yes, E and F, one of them. So E could be opposite to E. That is possibility. C is opposite to A. Again, that is possibility. E is opposite to A. That is definitely wrong. F is opposite to B. That is also possibility. So option number C. There is one more question. Who is sitting adjacent to B? Adjacent to B, one of C and D. So C and D, option number A. That is also clear. Okay. 10 questions. Okay. Now this is question on blood relations. Let's quickly form the family tree. X is brother of Y. Okay. X is brother of Y. Z is sister of X. Okay. Z is a sister. M is brother of N, and M is son of X. Firstly, M is son of X. This is son, and M is brother of N. N could be sister or brother. What is y in relation to, and y could be uncle or aunt, anything. So we cannot determine for sure because we don't know gender of y. Let's look at this question, very easy question. Any prime number p has p minus 1 that are co-prime with it. Co-prime is HCF or GCD of two numbers is 1. So p minus, for any prime, there are all the numbers before it are co-prime with it. So this statement is correct. And number of co-prime numbers with of any odd prime number is always even. If p, this is odd, then p minus 1 would always be even. This is also correct. So answer number option is C. You only needed to know what do we mean by co-prime numbers. Okay, let's see the passage. In a world deluged by irrelevant information, clarity is power. Okay, obviously, in theory, anybody can join the debate about the future of humanity, but it is so hard to maintain clear vision because there are a lot of distractions. Frequently, we don't even notice the debate that is going on, and what are the key questions. Many times, we don't even understand what are the key questions, let alone the debate. Billions of us can hardly afford any luxury of investigation because we have more pressing things to do. We can't keep on debating or learning because we have things to do. We have to go to work, take care of kids, look after elderly parents, etc. Unfortunately, history gives no discount. If the future of humanity is decided in your absence because you are too busy feeding or clothing your kids, you and they will not be exempt from the consequences. You will have to suffer the consequences even if you don't participate or you are unable to participate. Most logical corollary, next step. Next step, history is unjust, inherently unjust as not everyone can take part in the debate. It is not talking about justice. History is unjust or just, no law, that does not matter. What is the author saying? That you will not be exempt from the consequences. Consequences could be good or bad, but even if you don't participate or not, you will have to suffer the consequences. But anyway, that is not the next step. B, we are always being manipulated by propaganda by those in power because they don't want us to have clarity. That is not what the passage was talking about. It was just that clarity was essential, clarity was required to debate. That is what author was saying. We should strive for clarity about our past, present and future so as to have say in major debates of our time. Yes, that is what it is saying, because if you don't have clarity, if you don't participate, you will still have to suffer the consequences. Identified the key questions is the next biggest challenge. Yes, it is a challenge, but why? It is not saying that it is the biggest challenge or anything. Option number C is the correct one. Now let us look at this. All governments claim eternal consistency and success. Some even claim omniscience. And yet the essence of governance is a choice. Every governments want to claim consistency and success because every government wants to claim we are natural consequences of our society, we are the true representatives, we are divinely ordained to rule over you, etc., etc. But essence of governance is always a choice. Choice involves uncertainty, risk and immediacy. Those who must make the choices operate in the contemporary fog that envelops events rather than form the certainty and clarity that comes with time, distance and reflection. Basically, there is always a choice, and when you are making the choice, there is uncertainty, there is risk, because there is always a fog of immediacy. There contemporary fog hai, abhi pata nahi hai kya hoga. We just have to make a choice. We can't be sure about consequences of that choice. That kind of clarity, whether our decision was right or wrong, whether our choice was right or wrong, that comes with time, distance and reflection. That comes in the future, right? That is what author is saying in the hindsight. It is again passage from this book, Choices by Shiv Shankar Menon. It is a very good book if you want to read. Which of the following opinions would the author agree most with? 1. In matters of governance, although we have a choice, there is a right choice and there is a wrong choice. This is not what author was talking about. The author says there is a choice and we just don't know if the choice is right or wrong. We can know it only from the future, from the distance. B. It is in the nature of governments to try to be omniscient, including citizens' privacy. This is not what it is talking about. Privacy is not the concern of the passage. Definitely not. C. Only in hindsight can we truly analyze our past action. This is the essence of the passage. Those who can see the future through uncertainty of the present can emerge as visionary leaders. Okay, in general, it could be right, but again, this has no relation to the passage per se. third passage. In India, interaction between law and religion has often culminated in fractious long-standing disputes. To reconcile the tension, a diluted form of legal pluralism was embraced in the post-independence era. Legal pluralism, pluralism in essence is multiple opinions, multiplicity. This is again legal pluralism. A delicate balance was struck between universal state laws and localized religious norms. So religion versus state, इनमें से जो balance है that has been arrived at with legal pluralism. In recent times, this balance has been upended by the judicial application of essential religious practices doctrine. So essential religious doctrine जो है, that is a showcase example for this legal pluralism. A doctrine whereby protection is conferred to beliefs judged essential to a religion. In carving out essential core of the religion, courts have retained only those religious norms that conform to the globalized uniformity of state laws. So only essential practices are protected under the fundamental rights. That is what it is saying. Which of the following exemplifies legal pluralism? So which is the case study or example of legal pluralism? Essential religious practices. It is the passage clearly states that it is essential religious doctrine practices जो है, that is another case study or example of this particular legal pluralism. So option number C. Now this is very easy question actually. If you just don't get afraid by the passage or the information or the options. See, radioactive element hai, half-life, half of the elements are destroyed every 8 years. So after 8 years, n becomes n by 2, after 16 years, it becomes n by 4 and so on. You just have to put in 8 here and see t is equal to 8 and see where you get n by 2 as an answer. T is equal to 8, you get n minus 1 as answer. T is equal to 8, you get n minus 64. Here t is equal to 8, you get n by 2, and here t is equal to 8, you get n by 2 raised to 64. So option number C is the correct one. Put t is equal to 8 in all these options and you get the answer. I don't expect you to derive all this expression. Such kind of question was asked this year only. Okay, now this is the question. See, a bee has to go from here to here in 7 by 7 grid. So it can travel down and right only. So it has to travel 7 times right and 7 times down. So question is equivalent to finding number of anagrams of this particular word, 14 letter word, which is 14 factorial divided by 7 factorial, 7 factorial. We have done this in class, many times we have done this in class. This is the very standard question, very standard answer. If you want, I think there is this video lecture is available on YouTube as well. Fine, again very standard question, circular arrangement. Jatin has invited 5 people for dinner and he has table of 6. He is a host and he will dine with the guest. So there are 6 people. How many ways are there to sit them in a circular table? So answer is, for n people, answer is always n minus 1 factorial, because when the first person goes inside, there is only one choice for him, because all the around the circle, the tables are same, chairs are same. So when the first person sits, then only the arrangement gets defined. So answer is 6 minus 1 factorial, which is 120. Another question, in a game of archery, there are these different circles. This is radius 1, 2, 3 and there is 4. What is the probability that archer hits the central thing, the radius 1 wala cheez? So basic premise is, because this is the area ka question, probability is also area wise. So probability is 10 points in one shot. Na? So probability is, what is the area of inner thing? Pi into 1 square divided by entire area, pi into 4 square is equal to 1 by 16. That is the main thing. It will get, probability will get divided by area and not by radius, because everywhere there is symmetry and symmetry is circular area wise symmetry. Next question. Okay, here you just have to calculate the form the equations and solve them. Omkar wants to distribute some money and decides to give twice the money to education. So education is equal to 2 times health. Then you have tribal is equal to W by 3. Then you have W is equal to E and E plus H plus T plus W is equal to 10 नहीं कितना है 85 लाख ना, सॉरी 85 lakhs. So you have 4 equations, you have 4 unknowns, you just have to solve for each of the unknowns. If the value of t will come out to be 10 lakhs. Last 2 equations, questions. This question, which of the following is the largest? You see that all these numbers in powers, they are multiples of 10. So you can write them as 3 raised to 4 raised to 10, 4 raised to 3 raised to 3, then 5 raised to 2, raised to 10, and 7 raised to 10. So when the powers are same, whichever number will have largest base, which it would be largest. So this is 81, this is 64, this is 25, this is 7, which is largest? 81 is the largest, so 3 raised to 40 is the largest. And final question, this is just figure ka rearrangement, very simple question, there is nothing to explain. Option number C is the right one, you can see it from the pattern. So I hope this session was helpful. You can ask the questions in the comment section, I would try to answer them. We are starting a new batch from next Monday, 19th of December. It would go for 2 months. You can watch the video on LevelUp YouTube channel. Link is in the description.